Welcome to Roundtable Live for July 22nd, 2016. My name is BaerTaffy, joined by Mathis Games Northern Line, Rockley Smile. Back by popular demand today is Sinvicta. Hey there, Butteroo.
Hey, everybody. I'm happy to be back and looking forward to having more fun here on the podcast. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for that very cordial introduction to yourself.
I'm always cordial.
Downright genteel.
Indeed.
I would say.
Joining us for the first time is Last Grey Wolf. Hello.
Hello.
Also
How you guys
known
doing?
as Austin. How the hell are you, man? The Gungeon streak
good.
still going strong?
It is. The new one's building up. We're almost back to 50, so
Damn.
we're gonna get back to that 139 eventually.
Is that like a day of streaming?
Yeah. maybe like 2 straight days.
Man, I am impressed with you, honestly. Like, I dumped off Gungeon right after I beat the 4th past, and apparently that's not even like 45% completion rate. You're just starting
I
to
would
scratch
say you've
the
actually
surface.
never completed it.
Oh my
Yeah.
God! Wow.
To be honest with you.
That's humiliating.
But you should have respect for Austin, because I have 136 hours in the game, and my best streak is 3.
Damn.
So this guy is preternatural.
Further than I ever got.
It's got a really good base to it. I'm excited to see what the devs are going to do with it. They're already starting to throw in some new content piece by piece in patches. So
Austin's,
hoping to
no, you go.
see
You go.
something
Yeah.
new.
You,
Yeah. Hoping to see something new for the game. They've been hyping up this kind of small content patch that's coming up. So hopefully that comes sometime within the next couple of months. We'll see.
Austin on here not only for his Gungeon expertise, but also to contribute to the rest of the podcast. And let me tell you all about what that's going to be. We're going to talk about EVO 2016, the final results from that, and the Xbox One S coming in August. More details have been revealed there as well. The Humble 2K bundle and the Revelmode bundles. Humble Bundle back in the news and in a big way. As well as a few game releases and an in-depth discussion that we've been putting out for a couple of weeks now. We got RimWorld coming out of early access / beta into its final 1.0 release on Steam this week, well as... Oh, sorry, what?
RimWorld is still beta. It's early
still
access.
beta. Oh, it is.
It just hit Steam finally.
Okay, so it's the oh no, I'm thinking of Starbound. Okay, so I confused those two in my head. Yeah, no, we got
Well,
Starbound.
make sure just clear it up.
You got it. Yep. So Starbound coming out with the 1.0 release on Steam as well this week, and then of course we've got that inside spoilerific discussion that we've been putting off, and then VideoBall is going to cap off the show today, along with a minor speculative discussion about Ubisoft's inquiries into the Pokemon Go realm. The Go is just it's a virus being spread around the industry now, and they can't contain it.
That one's gonna be fun.
It is, yeah. It's gonna be a good time. We will start today though with EVO 2016. Austin.
Yeah.
Hypest moment from EVO 2016. Yeah, I'm gonna bury the lead here.
I'm gonna go right for the homer pick and say it was the Smash Melee Grand Finals. I don't think that's too homer though, because you could tell if you go watch the crowd noise reactions to everything from the finals day. It was a pretty hype Grand Finals, which is interesting because it really wasn't supposed to be very hype, but it ended up being a very good, like I think 10 set total Grand Final series. So it was like 10 total games.
Set the stage for me here. Like where was the hype being driven?
Well, you had last year's winner, Armada. He was looking to make it a Tuvo, as they like to call it.
Is that what they call it?
They don't. I mean, they try to, but it doesn't really work. But he was trying to win 2 in a row, and he's without a doubt like #1 best in the world, the most consistent player. And then you had Hungry Box, who was pretty much guaranteed #2 in the world. In fact, he made arguments for being #1 in the world. He's just another fantastic player, and he has had trouble beating Armada. You know, they kind of have been split in sets all year, and it's been an intense battle. The issue, though, is that their sets tend to be on the more boring side in the past, but recently they've been picking up in hype. The way that they play their game has been going from more of a campy style to more of an action-packed style that we like to see. And the pretty much the big story was that Hungry Box, he had gotten second place at every EVO before, or not every EVO, but the past 3 EVOs, I want to say. It might have been only 2, but I think it was the past 3 EVOs he had gotten second place. And he was always #2, always #2. And this year he finally pulled it out, finally pulled out the win. And it was in fantastic fashion. He looked like he was going to lose like 4 different times throughout the entire Grand Final series. He was one itty-bitty hit away from being thrown up and just losing. But he he played it out. People are calling him Clutch Box because he clutched out the victory. And I recommend if you have the time to go watch any kind of highlight videos of it, you'll see exactly how crazy it was.
Yeah.
But I think that was probably the best moment overall on Evo.
I can echo that. I ended up watching most of that finals series set. Even if you're not really into Evo or Smash Brothers or any of that, you don't really have to be. I mean, Melee has been pretty much on top of the Evo world, right? I'm not wrong in assuming that's probably like the most
It's had
popular
the most
game.
viewers, yeah. It's got a reputation in the fighting game community, but overall, it's got. I think it peaked about 220,000 viewers, whereas Street Fighter was at about 180, I think, at its peak. So it was definitely the most popular. But it's a Nintendo game. It's got more, notoriety in the casual viewer base than Street Fighter and things like that.
Right. Of course, the big news from this year's Evo was, of course, Nintendo has actually been working with Evo now, which is, of course, pleasant news. But the fact that ESPN2 was actually broadcasting the tournament on television. So we made it. We did it, guys.
We esports.
We there.
We real sports now. I watched
Surprising absolutely no one. I got a bone to pick with this whole ESPN2 thing.
Here we go.
So
Open it
many
up.
people on Twitter, once it came out, it spread like wildfire. Hey, hey kid, go search ESPN2 in the Twitter search and then find people that are bitching about a video game being on TV and then get up in their mentions and yell at them. Meanwhile, anytime the freaking Super Bowl happens, Twitter is just video game media people being like, oh, the sports ball today. Oh, I hope people
agree
enjoy
with
their
you.
sports ball. Why don't you just let these people be cynical about what they're cynical about? Because you're cynical about shit all the time. We're like the
Or-
most cynical industry in the world.
We could be just not cynical at all about either one and just let, happiness reign.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
just being unrealistic. At
Welcome me
this
to
point.
your utopia, Mathis Games. Where are you setting up shop?
At ESPN4 is where I call home.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. That's
It's
where we all
just
call home.
annoying. It's annoying for me when video games, even as our industry matures, have like a chip on our shoulder of like, hey, we need some legitimacy. Like, we got some legitimacy. And then you're people that are like not understanding video games, they're ignorant of it. Their interaction is going to be like, why the hell is Street Fighter on TV? And then they're going to have a bunch of people with like digital art avatars up in their mentions like, fuck you, you salty bitch. Like, this is not going to endear us to the mainstream.
I will say I did click on the ESPN2 trending Twitter tag, and I knew exactly what I was going to get, and I was still kind of salty. So I can see
You
where
went
they're coming
looking
from.
for it, man.
I did. I went for it.
I
To be
went
fair,
for it
it's
too.
it's the same kind of blowback that we saw last year with Heroes of the Storm being broadcasted on ESPN3.
Right.
It wasn't on 2 though.
See, they're
But-
moving up. It's a matter of time until
TI6 is going to be on just E ESPN.
Well, TI
Whoa,
TI5 wasn't TI5 on ESPN2 last year.
Yeah, it was on one of them.
It was actually on 2, not 3 last year, I believe.
Yeah, well, no, the show or the thing itself was on ESPN3, but I think it was TI4 that was on ESPN2. They had like a specific show planned out for it where they did like a 30 minutes.
One of the TIs was on the actual ESPN2 instead of 3. But Here's the Storm. I mean, we saw the same thing last year when the World Championships, or not World Championships, but the Heroes of the Dorm tournament was broadcasted there, and people just like, oh, what is this? One of these basement dwellers go back to playing in their basement dwellings, and it's like, I mean,
real creative
you keep, yeah, I mean, you keep saying that, but like these are the same people who like go out and like riot after their team wins like a soccer tournament or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, that's much healthier than sitting in the video game basement playing video games.
People are acting like this whole video games on TV thing is a new thing, too. I remember back in, what was it, like 2009, when the USA Network was
all right.
running those Halo Championship television
Yeah.
So
series,
you're going to talk
man.
about like the 90s with the Nickelodeon and the
Yeah.
live arcade
We can
games.
go back that far,
Top 10.
too. Why not?
Oh man.
Perfectly
I was gonna say the same
authentic.
thing. It's like, what was that, 94?
Yeah,
And it had
like
like
Nick
Monster
Arcade.
in My Pocket
And you got
challenge.
the
And
kid
Nick
who's so
Arcade.
clearly standing in front of a green screen. He has no idea what he's doing. He's just kind of like jumping and hoping he's hitting what he's
And
supposed to be.
nobody could
Shitty
figure
green
out
screen.
the three-piece the three-piece golden
Yo.
monkey statue.
That's
That
what
was
Legends
so
of the
Totally
annoying.
different
Yeah,
game,
that's
man.
different.
We're getting into a
Different
different
show.
territory.
game show.
Oh, that's what I'm saying though. It's like no one can figure it out. It's so easy. I just don't understand it.
it's a different
Get
show.
on my level, kids.
People get mad at video games
Arcade
on
and-
ESPN2.
And when grown men with masks would pop out and just grab the kid and bring him into their dark corner.
Where's that
Yeah, that was-
television
and he's
these
out.
days, huh?
Free piece.
The classics.
That's
People
the
get-
Five Nights at Freddy's movie coming up.
Right.
people get mad at the ESPN2 video game stuff, but if you go look at if you go log on to watch ESPN, just go look at the ESPN2 schedule, there's women's college softball, and then there's professional trampolining. I don't know if that's actually a thing, but it's just the most out there sports you could think. Honestly, Street Fighter V is not the weirdest thing you can find on ESPN2.
The biggest anti-ESPN thing was just it's not a sport, which, when you look at it as ESPN, yeah, they should be doing sports stuff. But I don't know, I feel like we gotta stretch the definition. Anytime I see someone on TV doing something that I couldn't just get up and do myself, it's a spectacle, man. That's impressive. Anytime I see the hot dog eating competition, I can't do that shit. He's eating 75 hot dogs in a minute, man. I am not built that way.
And that's on ESPN.
Yeah, that's the main channel.
Listen, get your video games off my hot dog eating network show.
I don't want to open up the can of worms, but all I'll say is that you can definitely call esports sports, but just don't refer to them as athletes. That's all I gotta say.
I agree.
They're not athletes.
What are they? They're sportsmen and sportswomen?
E-athletes.
No, they're gamers, man, professional gamers.
Yeah.
But you can't. I'm not gonna get into it because it's going
Hey,
to
man,
open up.
they got a training regimen. They've got a nutritionist. What more do you want here, huh?
It's actually tough, though, because when it comes to getting visas, that athlete title actually starts to matter.
Right. Because
a lot of esports, in fact, there was actually a very good Smash player who wasn't at EVO this year, Leffen, because he was having some visa issues, and that plagues every professional sport, from Smash to Dota to League to Counter-Strike. It's difficult for a lot of these European players and Southeast Asia players to even get into the country to play the sport because the government just doesn't recognize it yet. And they had that petition for Leffen. I think it had 100,000 signatures to get him his visa, and they basically responded with, "Sorry, we're the White House. We don't actually have anything to do with visas."
We're gonna be honest. We have no idea what the fuck this petition's about, but we legally have to respond to it now. So
we set this rule here, so fuck. I guess we got to do it.
There's something really kind of bizarre and hilarious about the idea of someone having a life-changing problem about going to another country to play a video game they could potentially play from their bedroom. The fact that you've got to assemble in a room to play a game you could play anywhere is just kind of funny to me. Well, I understand their plight, though.
I mean, they do it all. You see Korean players come over all the time, especially for StarCraft. Back in its heyday, you'll hear of Korean players actually getting a work visa to come over here, and they will train in a team house or something like that, and then they'll end up trying to apply for their citizenship. I mean, it happens more often than you'd probably think, and it probably traditionally doesn't fit the bill for a reason why someone would probably get a work visa. But I mean, it's modernization, man. I'm down with it.
Jesse for Heroes of the Storm when he was doing his pro team, and he had what is it? What's a South Korean guy who was one of the best Heroes of the Storm player? He flew him here to stay in the team house, and at the gate turned him away and sent him right back to South Korea.
Oh.
After he got to America.
Oh.
Welcome to America. Goodbye.
You're taking a job away from a above average American player.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's actually what happened to Leffen too, sort of. He was supposed to be here for the tournament because he had a temporary visa that he eventually got, but they wanted to get him a real, I think 2-year visa or a permanent visa or something. I don't know exactly what it was, but he was gonna come, and then they did the paperwork for the real visa, and they're like, all right, now that you're getting a real visa, your temporary visa is disabled, and you have to go through a 60-month waiting period or a 60-day waiting period. So he just got totally screwed for the biggest tournament of the year because of a weird technicality with visas.
Man,
it was rather unfortunate.
Always make sure to get your documents 8 months ahead of time, lest ye suffer the wrath of the bureaucracy.
I'll send you to the gulag in Papers, Please. You better have that expiration date taken care of.
Papers, Please esport. I would play it.
Oh yeah,
do it.
I don't mind taking the extra $1 to send you to the gulag. I will.
After I make my millions off of Evolve and Dead by Daylight esports, move over to Please.
When are we seeing the Mathis Games Pros team?
I can't talk about it right now. It's
gotcha.
Okay. I'm making the contract with my lawyers. We'll let you know when it happens.
It's not gonna be Stellar Lotus. It'll be Cosmic Lotus.
You gotta wait for Evolve Stage 3 or Stage 4, I think.
Well, that's when it evolves into an esport.
Exactly. Right now, it's in its premature form, primordial form.
There you go.
I think they're really going to get it on Evolve Stage 3, honestly.
It's just going to turn into Battleborn in the end, so.
I'm just going to assume that people aren't coming here for the actual EVO 2016 full game results, so I'll save you the trouble there. But as is on their website, if you're curious. We're going to move right on here, though, to the Xbox One S, which we have talked about before on the show, but now we got a little bit more solid information to go by, including a release date of August 2nd, which is really close now that I recognize what that date actually is. God damn, we are well into this year, aren't we? Okay, yeah.
Over halfway done.
That's like 10 days away. Holy shit. So, the Xbox One S, see here, there are 2 terabyte versions, and the Xbox itself is 40% smaller than the original 2013 console launch. Also includes a built-in power supply, thank fucking God, finally. I don't know why that's been on the back burner of things to improve, but yes, I'm glad that we don't have like an 8-inch brick
Power brick
to lug along with this thing anymore.
I still have my 360. That brick is just every time you move, it's a
It's
pain.
for self-defense, man. When someone's trying to break in there, swipe your 360, give them a brick upside the head. They're not going to take it anymore.
Yeah, man.
That brick is what exploded when I plugged in my 360 in Korea.
I was going to
And then
say,
a bunch
that's in a
of-
foreign country, right? Yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of yellow smoke came out of it, and just like opened the windows.
Yellow?
Yeah,
You were the lucky 1,000th customer, Ryan.
you know you're not
Win.
supposed to breathe smoke to begin with, but when it's a different color, you're like, we got to get this shit out of here right now.
Did you forget to blow the Dorito dust out before you turned it on? Because that's probably why it was yellow.
The honest truth of the situation is that I plugged it in and it worked for like 2 minutes, and it had to download an update. So I went to the bathroom, but I lived alone, so I left my door open. So I was doing as you do in the bathroom, and then I just heard like zip, zip, and then psh, and then yellow smoke just started pouring out of it.
How'd it
So
go?
I just ripped it out of the wall, and then like opened the window and was like pushing the air out.
Oh, yeah.
So you were basically Jeff Daniels in Dumb and Dumber then, except
Yes.
it wasn't you getting laxative. It was a busted Xbox 360 power supply.
The yellow
Well,
smoke was the
I
same,
busted
though.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it was still yellow smoke.
Oh, man. Well, beyond the fresh new design, that's an excellent choice of words. The Xbox One S is the first and only console that allows you to watch Blu-ray movies and stream video in stunning 4K Ultra HD with HDR. There's too many variables there. It means you get to enjoy your favorite shows and movies in the clearest, most realistic video possible. With high dynamic range support for video and gaming, Xbox One games like Gears of War 4, Forza Horizon 3, and Scalebound will look even better thanks to a high contrast ratio between lights and darks, bringing out the true visual depth of your favorite games. Guys, is this enough? Is this sold you? You gonna pick up an Xbox One S?
I had to buy the Xbox 360 Pro Slim version because my other one red ringed.
Me
So I don't think that problem exists now. I don't know how many people have 4K TVs out there who give a shit.
Right. I mean, that is still, this was what we speculated before, but it basically seems guaranteed now, or confirmed at least, that like the selling point here is 40% smaller, more terabytes of hard drive space, which is, I guess, just sort of a given, and you get the 4K viewing of videos and images. Like, that's it. There you go.
When they talk about HDR, do they mean the same lighting technique they used in Half-Life 2 to simulate your retina dilating when you move from light places to dark places and then back into light? Because, like, what does that have to do with movies?
I don't know if that's the comparison they're making, but it could be.
It's just like a software shader technique that they use in some games, which we've had for like 10 years.
They gotta put
Also-
HD something. I mean, they have to use the hot new acronym. It's the newest kick, man.
I mean, I know they've got the best pixels. but come on.
HDR in this context stands for high dynamic range. I don't know what
Yeah,
that
that's
is.
the same thing.
Oh,
That's
is
the
it?
same thing.
All right.
My question
This
is,
is,
does the Master Chief Collection work? Because that was
I don't
originally.
think so, man.
Oh, that was going to sell me an Xbox One, but no one ever told me if that started working yet.
You
or
and
not.
I are in that same camp, dude. I spent probably like a good portion of the 4 or 5 months every other day or so just popping that in. Hey, does it work yet? Nope. All right. Well, continues to be a really huge disappointment.
Everybody's moving in very slow motion on my screen right now.
That's good.
That's really weird.
Yep.
Okay. As long as it's not
Apparently it
happening to you
gives-
guys and it's only to me, that's fine.
Apparently, it gives better color accuracy for movies. Rumble Muffin says, "I trust him as a source."
I trust him too. Yeah. All Xbox One games, accessories, and Xbox Live services will work with the Xbox One S. It's good news there. Although I certainly would hope so, I suppose. But yeah, that's the Xbox One S. I basically look at this the same way that we looked at the Elite or the it was called the what was the replacement for the base 360? That was called the Pro. Yeah, the Xbox 360 Pro, right? More or less the same thing here, and I think the fact that the Xbox One has not had horrible console failures in the same capacity as the 360 did is basically the only thing that would, prevent this from having the same level of success. Because I think, like Mathis said, like a lot of people were just buying the Pro in order to replace a defunct original Xbox 360.
Yeah.
So when that's your major selling point, it doesn't really leave a lot of room for growth. And I don't know. The Xbox One S, though, is certainly an improvement upon the predecessor. And if you're looking to drop a few $100 on an improved console, this is your option.
Then wait for the Scorpio.
Which
Yeah, I mean, like every time a console comes out with like an improved version of it, it always feels like sort of this is like it feels like it's planned ahead of. So it's like, okay, we've got to do the improved console next, and then like there's going to be one more generation of the said console, and then like it's sort of like the last gasp sort of thing. It's how I've always kind of looked at it. And I mean, for me personally, it's like if you weren't convinced that the hardware was good enough to stand alone in its original release version, then like why do you think people are going to like want to try to do that unless they need to actually physically replace their Xbox One? I just like I'm still more apt to buy the $60 handheld Nintendo 30 game console than an Xbox One S right now. I want that thing, man. That trailer was awesome.
That, you know what? That's a weird but interesting enough question for me to ask. So, show of hands, are you more likely to buy the Nintendo NES, Mini NES, more likely to buy that than the Xbox One S? I'm going to go ahead and go in that ballpark.
Yeah.
But it's like 1/8 the cost or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's 5 out of 6 of us. And yeah, that is true, but...
I'm less likely because I plan to buy neither of them, so I didn't raise my hand.
Oh, yeah, okay, but...
You have to raise both. If you're neutral, Nick, you have to raise both hands.
Oh.
And then make a
I
roller
didn't know the
coaster
rules.
sound effect. Yeah,
I
there you
screwed
go.
up.
I thought you got the memo.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we're not the target audience. Again, I'll put that out there. I think we've given that disclaimer a few times, but yes. Oh, the Humble Bundle. Let's get the Humble Bundle back in the news. I can't remember the last time Humble actually made it onto our docket, but here we are doing it again.
What's Humbling Bundle, Bear?
The Humble Bundle. It's bundles full of awesome games that also contribute to the developers and charity simultaneously. If you go to humblebundle.com, you'll see the currently available Humble 2K bundle, which is quite the doozy, actually. You got, for $1 or more, check this out. You get the Darkness 2, Spec Ops The Line, which I know is Ryan's favorite game, and Duke Nukem Forever. Just the legendary. So,
But wait, there's more.
But wait!
The low tier of the Humble 2K bundle is a little bit not my style.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest, Darkness 2 has been in about 15 bundles already, and if you paid more than $1 for it, you got ripped off.
I didn't play the Darkness 2, but I played the Darkness and I enjoyed it well enough. So that's
The Darkness 2 is also the best game of those three.
That is also true.
By about 30 exponents. But in my opinion,
yeah.
Are you the monster? Actually, yeah, you are. Darkness
you
2.
are
right.
In Darkness 2, you're literally the monster.
Are the monster.
In Spec Ops: The Line, are you the monster?
And in Duke Nukem Forever, the monster's in your pants, right?
Yeah,
That's
you
good.
got to
That was
point to it
really
every
good.
corner. Yeah.
And then Tier 2, you got pay more than the average of currently $8.77 to unlock Sid Meier's Civilization 5, if you don't already own 3 copies of it. You got NBA 2K16, which actually was just on sale for a big chunk of change, or taking off a big chunk of change on the Steam store. You got the Mafia 2 Director's Cut and a Battleborn Starter Skin Pack. But then things get real interesting, because for paying $15 or more in this 2K Humble Bundle, you not only get Borderlands the pre-sequel, which is in and of itself pretty impressive, you get Battleborn. Battleborn, the actual full game, Battleborn, which came out 2 months ago, is now in a Humble Bundle. That
makes me sad.
That is interesting.
Good deal, y'all. Brand new game.
I knew it was doing bad, but man,
It was
this
doing real bad,
That's
which is a shame because the
this is an
game is
exclamation
good.
point.
Yeah.
One of the highlights of this year, without joking aside, was the tournament that Mathis
Yeah,
and
that's
I and
right.
Force won.
That was awesome. That
They won
was so much fun.
$20,000 for charity, and it's like
Yep.
2 months later, like it's I don't want to make it seem like the Humble Bundle was like sort of like a mark of disrespect or anything, because
Right.
it's a fantastic program and that sort of thing. It's just surprising that that Battleborn would all of a sudden be put sort of like in a bargain basement type deal, I guess. I mean, it's kind of sad because I did enjoy Battleborn, but it's a little unprecedented for such a big. I mean, Battleborn was a big name. Like it was either that or Paladins before Overwatch. It's like, well, no one's going to play Paladins. So
Well, the
it's like-
problem with
Pardon me.
Battleborn
Sorry, without being
with,
paid for it is what I meant to say.
Right.
Sorry.
right. Well, yeah. The problem with Battleborn outside of is obviously it launched at a terrible time. It was like and Overwatch was actively doing. Obviously, it should. It wants its game to succeed and wants its competition to fail for the most part. It launched basically directly against Overwatch. Not only that, the marketing for Battleborn was fucking awful. There was very little of it, and every time you saw something, you're like, "Well, what is this game's gameplay? What is this game about?" Everything that they showed just kind of left you wondering, like, "All right, what is it? I don't understand." And the game came out, and not surprisingly, people were like, why would I play this over Overwatch? It's just like Overwatch. And like, no, it's not like Overwatch at all, other than it's a first person. But it's a shame.
It's got to
Like
be one of
Battleborn-
the worst like marketing blunders in like the games industry in quite a long time, right? Like this is pretty significantly bad for.
I wouldn't really call it a blunder. I mean, they didn't market it like I would say in the best direction. They like. I mean, in my opinion, they should have made more of a concise effort to say we are not Overwatch, rather than trying to go hand in hand with just compete directly with it.
Yeah.
It felt my initial read on Battleborn when I first played it is that it felt like the devs started with a game, and they decided that it wasn't going to work in the direction that they probably wanted it to, so then they had all these bits and pieces of a pre-existing game, and then they wanted to turn it into a multiplayer first-person shooter thing. Like, it felt like it started out sort of like a Borderlands MMO sort of style-ish, sort of like Tabula Rasa in that sense. And then they're like, oh no, let's just make it into a multiplayer MOBA first-person shooter sort of thing, and then like they transferred over there. I mean, technically that's kind of what Overwatch did before Project Titan, but you know, I think Battleborn would have bettered themselves by trying to create more of a diverse like gap between them and Overwatch, rather than trying
Actively
to sit there
trying
and
to say this is not Overwatch.
Yeah.
Different.
yeah,
And
you can't compete with it.
I think there was probably a bit of a marketing blunder in that, because I did see early on in the marketing for it, they seemed like they were trying to get in the same realm, in the same league as that game, to try to ride the visibility of it. And at which point, somewhere in there, you're going to go, all right, you've got the visibility. Now we need to make a clear message that this game is nothing like the other one. And that part never really happened, because it was basically swallowed whole by the time they had the opportunity to speak. So I think they kind of underestimated just how pervasive Overwatch was going to be, and maybe had an okay idea at the beginning. It just didn't really work out campaign-wise.
I almost feel like
Bad.
the interesting thing for me about the Battleborn thing is not really whether or not it's good or not, because I played it at a couple of media events, and I was like, I'm not really that into it. The multiplayer was much more interesting than the single-player campaign, in my opinion.
Oh,
at
that's
least.
where it's
but,
at.
What's interesting to me is this notion of games publishers have like an obligation or at least a desire to build consumer confidence, in the sense that like right now, if you're buying like a new 2K game at launch, you must be like, man, I really hope this takes off. Otherwise, I may have just spent like literally 4 times what the game's going to cost 2 months from now. Like, I think people generally are pretty reasonable. If a game is half price in a Steam sale like 6 months after it comes out, they're like, okay, I got my money's worth, I got in. But for a game to be 1/4 the price 2 months after it comes out, especially with the Evolve stuff that just happened, although that was on a longer time scale, I have to imagine that like if you're looking at a new 2K game, you're like, why would I buy this now when I could just wait like 6 months and maybe get it for more than half off?
They're both 2K. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, for the people who don't really understand the whole situation, this could just send that message that why buy the game now? Why just wait for it to be on sale?
I thought it was already free to play, so.
Pre-sequel took a lot longer to go down in price, to be honest. I think it was $40 for the majority of its time. It was only recently that you can get it this cheap, and but I don't think it did fantastically well for them either, unfortunately. So they've been having a bit of a rough go of it lately.
That was on Steam, right? So we could check into that. Let me see here. Borderlands pre-sequel.
It was a difficult one for them to position as well, because the message of what is Borderlands the pre-sequel is not really straightforward. Like, you can't just read it and be like, look, that's Borderlands 3, it's a sequel. You have to explain what a pre-sequel means and why you should care about it. And usually when anything happens, like, in the past of a history part of a world, it's like, it sort of loses people already. You want forward momentum.
Yeah, if they have to guess what exactly your game is, they're just not going to bother.
We got 1.2 million players of Borderlands the pre-sequel on Steam. It's not too bad. By their standards,
it did well.
Yeah, by their standards, a little lower, I think, than what they were maybe expecting, but still pretty damn good.
Borderlands is still a big name. People still recognize it.
People still play Borderlands 2 all the time, man. Like, it's a pretty...
You can just say BizSnap. You don't have to say people.
Yeah.
No, I've seen two people. I can't remember who the other one was, but other than BizSnap.
Baru still plays it.
Yeah, it was probably Baru.
As well.
Yeah, Baru still plays.
Yeah, so an interesting counterpoint here maybe with Battleborn is that perhaps this is the developer acknowledging that maybe the marketing was a little bit blundered, maybe the release could have been handled better, and they're now sort of dedicating their resources to improving the player base that they've got and maybe trying to expand upon that in any meaningful way. This is absolutely actually setting them up for something that I've gone on record as not being a huge fan of in the past, which is the soft launch into free-to-play. And that, you know, with this being in Humble Bundle now, this is going to create an infusion of new players into Battleborn. So I think we're probably going to see that pretty soon down the road here, too. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, at the end of this year, we're talking about a Battleborn Stage 2. You know, it's just going free-to-play again. So we'll see, but there is potentially a positive to be drawn here in that the player base is now going to be expanded quite a bit for those who are still playing Battleborn.
I wonder, like, if they do a Battleborn Stage 2, like, if as many people would care about Evolve. Because I kind of feel like Evolve, most people feel was a good game hampered by a bad release.
Yes.
And then the community died and they didn't want any part of it. And I wonder if people, like, my impression of Battleborn Stage 2 is essentially... you know, why would I play this if I already have Overwatch? Which sounds, I mean, I don't mean that to be offensive to, you know, Gearbox 2K or anybody who's a fan of Battleborn, but I played Battleborn and I'm like, it being $15 is not what's stopping me from putting time into that game.
You just have a better experience that you could be having that you already have available to you.
I have a game that fits all of the things that Battleborn could possibly be, but it already is doing that.
Battleborn also comes with a lot of that MOBA stress. At least I felt it with like the leveling and making sure you get the right items and going up the right talent trees. Because when you level, it's much more MOBA than it is than Overwatch by leaps and bounds. And that level of salt, is a lot more prevalent in Battleborn than Overwatch. At the same time, comparing Evolve to Battleborn is difficult because not only was Evolve a good game hampered by a bad launch, it also had a huge amount of hype behind it. Battleborn did not.
Right.
So people are more willing to go back, I think, to Evolve because people were excited for it when it first launched, and no one was really like super excited about it.
I'm curious to hear what your answer, what your answer to this was. I think you and I played Battleborn probably an equal amount of time between the two.
Yeah, maybe.
A question I would pose to you is that if somebody asked you which game has more content, in your opinion, outside of marketing or bias, which game you like better, would you agree that Battleborn
has more content
than Overwatch?
It has a lot more content than Overwatch.
Isn't that interesting? But
easily.
how people still want to pick Overwatch though?
I was also
because
going to
Overwatch it has more, in my opinion, like digestible games. Like they're quicker games. You can jump in, jump out, and rewarded quite.
The point that I'm trying to make though is that the reason why people don't play Battleborn, if it's generally agreed upon that it does have way more content than Overwatch, isn't because of the content. It's
Right.
because of the actual play style itself and what transpires in the game that turns people away. Because that's how I feel about it.
I feel like there was so much of a perception issue that it almost felt like it became the thing to do to dogpile Battleborn. Like, we started by saying, like, how different Battleborn and Overwatch are, and yet at the end it goes, well, why would I play Battleborn when I could just play Overwatch?
Yeah.
They're not the same game. And
No,
that doesn't
but
really
at the same
make
time,
sense
people-
as a reason.
But at the same time, and a lot of it, as far as the consumer is concerned, may not have the money to buy both, and they have to choose. And even if they're not comparable, they, what is maybe all their friends have Overwatch, but none of their friends have Battleborn, so they're gonna buy
I
Overwatch.
get that part.
It comes down to defining, is a game in competition is A game is going up against direct competition with B game. It doesn't really matter if you're trying to compare the two. You know, if you're talking about apples to oranges, it doesn't matter. It comes down to, are people going to play apples more than they are going to play oranges, and why, sort of thing. So that's, I mean, they're not the same game, but at the end of the day, they're still directly trying to compete for the same demographic, and Battleborn just lost.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Do you think if Overwatch was free to play, that Battleborn would have done better or worse?
No.
Because, I mean, if you're going to compare that like price, like, all right, I can only buy one or the other. If Overwatch was free, do you think people would have been more likely, like, all right, well,
Overwatch would have, if Overwatch was free, they'd be monetizing it somehow, and that would probably be hero purchases.
Yeah, that would be.
Or the loot boxes.
That would, even if they did that, though, they
Not
wouldn't.
like they do now.
It would be a completely
they
different
would lock,
system.
like, essential gameplay mechanics behind paywalls if it was free.
We can't all be Bear and open 400,000 loot boxes on stream.
It was only 235.
Yeah, would you calm down, man?
And what a great night that was.
I only have 18,000 Overwatch coins. What am I going to do with those?
But I mean, you have to look at it now. It's like, well, even if Battleborn goes free to play and people still have to pay $60 for Overwatch, people are still paying, like, they're still paying for Overwatch rather than saying, oh, I could just go play this game for free, sort of thing. So at this point, I don't think Battleborn can really do much except try to hold on. I mean, I'm rooting for him because I did have fun with that game, but
Me too.
I wonder how many people who put down Battleborn actually have played it. It seems like probably not.
probably
that many.
not many. Yeah. It's like the pile on. That's just the internet.
It's the internet's idea of first impressions. They'll see 5 or 10 minutes of a game, be like, "This looks similar to Overwatch. Overwatch is better." And then they just leave.
Yeah,
That's
there's this weird perception that like Blizzard is the underdog, even though they're always winning. Like,
And the
I don't
games
really
are
get what
totally
that is.
different.
Yeah.
And don't think for a second that Blizzard does not coordinate their game releases with other major titles of similar genres. Don't think that for a second. I love everybody at Blizzard. I'm honored to have worked directly with them, but they've got every aspect of game releasing down.
I thought it was crazy how they moved ahead the release of Diablo 3 to take out the Adventures of Van Helsing. It's another ARPG. It's a joke.
Yeah, no, I know.
the gears were turning, but it was a little too late at that point.
I got it. I give it like a 6.5 out of 10.
I'll take it.
I
That's
really like
the Battleborn number.
I really like your you created like a superhero there, Mathis. Comment section man. He's coming down there to save us from the mistruths of the world. No,
Comments,
Call of
man.
Duty is not going to be better than Battlefield 1. Comment section man away.
And his arch nemesis can be your grumpy old Wayne character you just came up with, Bear. There you
Oh,
go.
that was okay. We were toying around with somebody earlier that's
You were toying around with somebody
yeah,
earlier.
he's just getting real frisky.
We were making fun of you when you were AFK, Ryan.
That's sensible.
There's the all right. Let me just I don't trust these.
Gotta get in
Nintendo
character.
types. I don't trust them trying to get their mobile apps into all our hands and trying to get us to walk around outside. It's not my style.
Save us, comments, man. Save us.
Pokemon Go is just a shitty game with non-complete features and it's always down. Stop playing it.
How dare you? Pokemon Go is a social revolution, good for all of mankind. I don't know.
Done it.
He's like anti-comment section, man. We've got a whole deep fucking.
We got world building and lore.
Yeah, we got
You got,
mythos going
the
on.
lore? Yeah. I mean, it's there.
Does conservative Yoda have an opinion? Or Sylvester Stallone?
I'm trying to think of what conservative Yoda would think about Pokemon Go.
We were thinking conservative Yoda, and I haven't given him a name yet, but he seems like disgruntled Southern dude
It's
upset
Nick as a
about
Texan.
Nintendo. More or
Excuse me?
less.
Nick as a Texan.
Excuse me?
Texas?
Nexus. It's Nexus.
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 Mhm.
Yeah.
Nexus. Nexus.
Jellies for Nexus.
There you go.
Also of note here in the Humble Bundle is the, this is just feel-good news, more or less, is the Humble Revelmode Bundle, which includes such hits as Robot Roller Derby Disco Dodgeball, Nidhogg, Choice Chamber, Golf with Your Friends, Skullgirls, Spelunky, Roguelands, and Rocket League. So really damn fine bundle right there.
That's an amazing.
And reminding
bundle.
all of us that Revelmode is still a thing.
Right.
Conservative Yoda has an opinion on Pokemon Go.
Okay, good.
Oh.
Just stop right there.
Oh, Yoda has something to say.
Wife here. The monster's in our pockets. When the real monster
Oh God.
running for Democratic President of United States is.
Ooh, you went a different route too.
That's conservative Yoda's opinion on Pokemon Go.
Very good.
And Hillary Clinton.
Dude, the real monster is in the pockets of big banks.
The real monster is you. And then we're playing Spec Ops again. And it all comes full circle.
Yeah, then we're all just playing Spec Ops
Once a
Online.
month, Ryan gets dragged back to Spec Ops: The Line. He has to relive it.
It's not as good as it thinks it is.
Why don't you think it's so deep, man? It
Next
penetrated me to
question.
the core. Oh.
Please finish Grey's Anatomy.
Humble Revelmode bundle is doing real well too, so that's exciting. But yeah, go pick that up. It contributes to
have, like-
charity.
Yeah, like 90% of these games are worth just $15 alone.
Oh,
so
yeah, easily.
You have no excuse not to just.
Like Rocket League's, premier.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
assuming
you
everyone
could have
owns
an
Rocket.
excuse. Your excuse might be, I don't want any of those games, or I don't want to pay $15.
Nah,
Everyone wants
Those are excuses.
You gotta
They
get
just
it
don't know
still.
it yet.
You get Nidhogg, Choice Chamber, Robot Roller Derby, Disco Dodgeball, anything you want. You just name your own price, man. Let's go
Spelunky
get
too,
'em.
man.
Yeah, that's you got to beat the average there, though. I don't know how rich you are. All right.
I have
Yeah,
1
worth
hour
it.
in Spelunky, and I had fun, but I couldn't get past like World 4 or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
That's really far.
That's oh yeah.
In an hour?
I did
Really good. You
I
got
did
to
terrible.
the Beacon Temple in an hour?
Something like that, yeah.
that is legitimately impressive, man. Well
Like a
done.
month.
That bundle is real good, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
gotta pick up Golf with Friends too. Golf with your friends.
You're gonna get
Okay.
us sued, man. Jesus
Sorry,
Christ. You gotta be
my
careful
bad.
with that shit.
Sinvicta does not represent the rest of the Roundtable podcast or any of his.
Why can't you include that in your introduction, your very cordial introduction, man? We need you to make sure that the disclaimer's
I'll do it
going
next
out.
time.
Thank you.
I promise I'll do it.
If
Next
there's
time.
gonna be a next time, God, look how this is gone.
Yeah, I may not be part of the popular vote anymore. I'll get on with my life.
All right, we're going to talk about RimWorld. RimWorld is okay. So remind me. So the RimWorld was in. It's still in
It was
early
being
access.
sold. Yeah, it was being sold separately on its own website.
Yes.
They
Okay.
had 13 versions of the beta.
Mhm.
Beta version 14. I don't know why, but it's finally on Steam now.
All right. So give me the skinny here of RimWorld, Mathis.
RimWorld is a colony management simulator where you take a small group of people whose ships exploded. You land on a RimWorld with, wildlife and stuff, and it is your job to survive and expand your colony and last for as long as you can. You don't give direct orders to your colonists. You basically kind of organize what you want done and what priority. All your colonists have different personalities and histories and backgrounds and what they like and what they don't like, and they will do as they see fit according to their personalities. And hopefully you're good at managing them, or they have mental breakdowns, or they die from infections or lose limbs, and your colony goes up to a bunch of wildlife just destroying all your dudes, and they all end up in medical with infections and die.
This is
Like
becoming
happened
more
to
of a
me.
personal limerick
It's just,
here than it is
look,
anything else.
I got attacked by listen, my recent colony got attacked by raiders. I survived. I fought the raiders back. We lived. 2 days later, raiders came again with bigger numbers. I fought them back. I did okay. Then a pack of wild man-eating boom rats came, attacked my colonists. Everybody was injured. I had one of my dudes have to have an amputated leg because it was infected. Everybody else got infected, and everybody just fucking eventually died over the course of days.
Yo,
Oh.
is
Boomerang.
RimWorld the name that the human centipede victims call their life?
Oh,
Yes.
You just couldn't
Listen.
couldn't resist.
No, I really couldn't.
Oof.
I tried to stop it.
People like to compare RimWorld to Prison Architect, and there are artistically it looks a lot like RimWorld. And like when the game first was released, he was like, "This looks like RimWorld. We have the approval of the prison. I mean, this looks like Prison Architect. We have the approval of the Prison Architect guys to have similar art. They don't care. We don't care. But gameplay-wise, it's not that similar."
You've been telling me it reminds you a lot of Dwarf Fortress,
Dwarf
which
Fortress.
is
Yep,
an
which is the
inspiration
same.
that they wear on their sleeve pretty clearly here too.
Yep,
And
it is similar.
that I think is just right there enough to tell a lot of people who may be like me that this is maybe going to be a bit too much for you. And don't let me lump you in with my dumbass group if you don't want to be there. But
Is that us?
I don't know.
So,
But
yeah, here, I mean,
You almost pointed as you said it.
Dwarf
you're like,
Fortress is
don't rope us into it
let's
here.
not
This
pretend
dumbass
that these
group.
guys aren't part of the problem. But
It's much more. It's Dwarf Fortress inspired pretty heavily, but it's a lot less complicated than. First of all, Dwarf Fortress is notoriously hard to break into because the UI and the controls are like archaic as hell. They're awful. And there's a lot more depth and a nuance. And Dwarf Fortress, I mean, benefits from being in development for over 10 years now, where the UI, like, first of all, RimWorld has keyboard and mouse compatibility, which is something
What?
Dwarf Fortress doesn't have.
you really sold me now.
I know, right? And it's a lot more. It's just a lot more user friendly. I think for people who are into like these management simulations, but don't necessarily want to tackle Dwarf Fortress, but want a similar style game, I really think RimWorld is going to be something you should try. It's a very deep game, but it's not nearly as complicated as Dwarf Fortress.
That sounds like something I could be into because like one of my least favorite things about these management games, like when I look at a game like CK2 and I open up the menu and it looks like the inside of an airplane cockpit.
No, it's not like that either.
I can't. It's just so many buttons. They're not labeled. I'm gonna crash this thing. But no, I can get into a management game that is accessible because most aren't is the thing.
RimWorld allows itself some really fun and really cool stories to be told, which is what I really like. Like one of my colonists, we were fighting with one of the raiders, and he got shot in the head, but he lived. And for the rest of his life, he was basically brain damaged. He moved at a snail's pace. He could barely do anything other than eat and sleep. He could harvest plants, but he failed most of the time.
Dude, it's
and he was basically just
goals.
yeah, it was
They get their necks
yeah,
snapped.
he really was. Like he was basically a liability to the colony. So I had the option, like, do I just execute the poor bastard and like put him out of his misery and like stop wasting food and medicine on him? In doing that, those who have a relationship with him and seeing a dead body, like killing a friend, then seeing a corpse, would bring all their moods way down, and there's the liability of maybe them having mental breaks.
This coming from the Mathis Games, who plays Dead by Daylight, leaving all of his friends and relatives behind to die.
Listen,
Mathis
you are
Games.
not. You are not.
You
at
don't
risk.
want to kill someone who has a relationship with other
Well,
characters.
that's the thing.
First of all,
Mathis
He's not his
Games.
friend, so.
You're not at a risk for having a mental breakdown. That's the problem.
Maybe I am. Maybe I had to go into therapy.
I've had
because
colonists
I
have a
needed to
mental.
die. It sold
I've
me
had a
out.
colonist have mental breakdowns and just take out their weapon, just start shooting anything that moves because they've just lost it. Like that's the kind of stuff that can happen. That's really fun. You can eat other people too. That'll fuck up your whole colony.
So it's got a. I was telling Ryan,
Narcissist.
it's got a bit of a programming feel to it. It seems like a lot of what you can do as far as inputs or commands you issue to your crew is sort of like a series of if-then statements to where you're essentially like saying, okay, well, if you can do this, go do that, and then if not, then you have 12 other things that you can run down a list of objectives.
You
to
have a
get through.
whole list of things that can be done in the colony. It's huge, and then you can list them as priorities. Like this will be this particular colonist priority number 4, while I want him to be cooking to be his priority number 1 because he's the best cook out of the 4 or 5 people I have in the colony right now.
So it's
Yeah.
I I personally don't like that, but I can definitely see the appeal to it, and like it gives you a good degree of control, but you're also not having to directly micromanage every single instance of what's going on in your colony. So it's got an appeal there for sure.
Right.
Ruka.
It's good. If you like that style of game, I think you would love. I mean, RimWorld is notoriously well received, so
yeah, overwhelmingly positive reviews. So yeah, probably.
One thing I can say that I like about it is that I can pop it into Google and actually find the game.
Sure,
unlike
yeah.
unlike a certain title we're about to talk about.
Don't flip over to the images,
Oh.
though.
Yeah, don't type, finished inside and then see what comes up.
And again, we had to just.
Or
couldn't
do
resist
if you're
together.
18 or older.
Sure.
Yeah.
after a little bit of rimming, we go inside.
Hey, at least
That's
it's
a
not
sex
called
joke.
Rim Job, right? Jeez, that'd be a
Hey,
terrible name.
Oh.
That's when you lick the ass.
RimWorld is $30 on Steam. That was so, you're so elated about it. Oh man, it came out last week on Steam. It is $30. You can also get a name in game pack for $45, or the Pirate King pack for $200. Wow, I don't even know what's in there, but
It's like they name
good.
like important NPCs after you and stuff.
Okay, that's pretty cool. This, hold on, I was curious enough. The Pirate King pack gives you the right to enter a name and character backstory into the game. You can write yourself as an... Oh, no, yeah, that's just straight up it, isn't it? Oh, they've got like a little reward system that they've got built in if you spend more on the... Okay, there we go.
I like Prison Architect.
Yep.
All right. All right.
Well, Darkest Dungeon did it with the... aren't some of the hero names that you get in the Stagecoach named after backers?
I think there are like Kickstarter
Frontier?
exclusive characters, so I think you enter a command prompt or the equivalent of one inside of Darkest Dungeon, then you type a name in there, and then you can unlock that character.
Okay.
Ruger can't tell if he wants to boop your face or chew your glasses.
One of the two. He's just real cute in there. All right, moving on. We are getting into Inside, and this is
We all get our cat now? Is that
Yes.
what this is?
Mine's right there sleeping. I'm not gonna
I
wake him.
don't have a damn cat, and I probably never will.
All right, we are going into Inside again. This is going to be a completely spoilerific conversation. If you have not played Inside, if you have any inclination at all to play Inside, please leave for now. Come back in a little bit. As long as these banners are here on the sides of the screen, you will know that we are talking about spoilers. I won't navigate away from this screen so that you still know that we're talking about spoilers. We are talking about Inside. This is a spoiler-filled conversation. Have you been warned sufficiently? I hope so. Okay, here we go.
Spoilers, you are the monster.
Spoilers again! Oh, man. Every time. Why can't we stop being the monster, guys? We can't get this out of our systems.
Human nature.
Every time.
Man.
So we
Human nature is the monster.
That's
There
right.
you go.
So we have
Someone's
a
got to make
fairly
a game about that.
We have a fairly even split here on the show today. We've got, I think, okay, so Austin, what camp do you fall in?
I am ultimately let down by the game by
Okay.
the end.
And I consider it a work of modern art, and Ryan, I think, liked the game quite a bit as well.
Overwhelmingly positive from me, yes.
Okay, so let me. I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% sure where to start here. Let me say that I still consider Inside, after having played through it multiple times myself, watching other people play it multiple times, I still want to play it again. It was such a great experience for me, and I
See, that makes no sense to me.
Yeah, why?
I love it, man. Like I really like this game.
It's like doing the same crossword puzzle twice or something.
No, I'm talking about like a year down the road. I want to play it again. Sorry,
Okay.
I should have rephrased that. But like, it was such a thoroughly satisfying experience for me, and I can definitely see where people are coming from with the ending. It was very Limbo-esque. The conclusion was not really a conclusion. There's a lot of questions left unanswered, all that kind of stuff. But I've sort of just come to accept that as what Playdead is aiming for. You know, they're not looking to give you that complete sense of satisfaction. They put you into a place where you don't really feel like you're meant to be there. You're just sort of interjecting yourself into a story that they created and you get to be a part of. And I don't know. I can respect their decision not to, give you that bright and happy ending everyone was hoping for, and instead just sort of put you in a completely unknown position.
It's not the happy or sad part of the ending. It's the fact that there kind of isn't an ending. It just sort of they just go ...
You go from
Kind of,
inside,
that's all that is.
and then you're outside.
Then you're outside.
Yeah,
Then
no,
you
I
go
know.
outside the building.
the name
Would
of
even
the
open
sequel?
for a sequel? Yeah,
The sequel
they
being
can
outside?
call, they can call the sequel "Finishing Inside."
That's
You were
not.
inside all along.
It's not that game. You can't make a sequel to Inside. It would a sequel to Inside would completely undermine the existence of the game in the first place. But I will say that I agree with Bear, but I think for like different reasons. Is like I don't think the story is. When I see people say that the story is bad or that there is no story, I hate when that gets put in the minus column, because I think what they've done is kind of like Dark Souls the story by creating a world in which you see something happening that's unusual and you ask a question in your head like, what's up with that? Like, there's mysteries in the world that you naturally want to solve, and you come up with questions, and it does like a kind of filmmaking approach to it where artistically it's just like, we're not going to answer those. Like every approach to those questions is essentially equally valid. And I think that it's a pretty bold artistic choice to do that, to have a very non-traditional narrative in a medium that tends to almost exclusively have a traditional narrative, to the point where, you know, there's cutscenes or, you know, exposition text or people with dialogue just tell you what's happening in the story and stuff like that. And when I finished it, I was like, I understand why people wouldn't like this, because really you are told actually nothing. But I think that the overarching emphasis in the game is on tone and atmosphere, and the fact that they tell you nothing is kind of singularly important to making that happen. But I can definitely understand finishing it, and as I finished it, I was like, people are going to find the twist weird and out of left field, and a lot of people are going to be unsatisfied with the way that the game handles its narrative, I think.
So, Austin, I want to know why you felt let down by it.
Well, to start, I do want to say that for the first about 2/3 of the game, I was blown away by the game in general. Like the visuals specifically, like some of the scenes, like one of the ones where you're just about to enter the first parts of the factory, and you got that like Central America like stormy background with the sun going down. Like those scenes, there were scenes throughout the entire game like that were just. I'd never seen anything like that in a game before. They almost and this is a little cliche, but every frame was like a painting for that game.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that every frame of painting shit, man.
And it was really, really good. The issue with me that I had is pretty much what you guys are saying. The ending felt like it just tore it all apart for me. For me, I felt like the game was building this world, and it was trying to aim for a conclusion. I don't know if it was trying, but to me, it felt like it was going towards some conclusion. And as you guys said, there really isn't a conclusion there. It kind of just, there's this thing that happens that has almost, to me, nothing to do with the rest of the game. And that's the point. It was meant to be completely, out there and really weird you out, I guess, is what they were trying to do. But for me, I just felt like it was too rapid of a turn. Like we went from this atmospheric, beautiful game to this, excuse the pun, this blob of like just craziness that didn't resonate with me at all. Again, the reason it ruined the rest of the game for me is because there were so many moments where I did have these questions, like where am I in this game? What is the purpose of this? One of the big ones and one of the coolest parts of the game is the sound explosion part.
Yeah,
that part is crazy. And like the second I got there, I was just like, I want to know about this. I want to know where we're at. And at the end, you're kind of just given the best explanation that you're really given is that it's just a laboratory. That's all you're really told. This is a lab. It kind of felt like an aperture science laboratory where things don't make sense, and then scientists are just doing this stuff because. And while that works in Portal because it's a comedy, and Inside I feel like it just doesn't feel satisfying to me.
Do you echo that criticism, Nick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was mechanically great. The atmosphere was fantastic. The animation, I think, was probably the highlight of the whole thing. I disagree about every frame being a painting because there were a lot of underwater, murky areas that I found quite boring, actually. And they also reused a bunch of puzzle mechanics a few times where they sort of hinted that they were iterating on them, but then sort of arbitrarily didn't. There was also a few inconsistencies I found throughout. There's a point where the hair ring lady that chases you underwater decides at one point now it's time to choke you out and bring you a mile under the water. And for some reason you come back and you like get plugged in, and there's like a lot of stuff that seems really directly like they're trying to tell you stuff about the story. And in fact, the story does seem to have a beginning, middle, and end, but ultimately it comes out really superficial. It ends up just being a sci-fi story about a kid with basically nothing behind it. I don't feel like there's any attachment to the character. I don't feel like anything happens. I don't feel like there's any resolution. And, you know, as bold as that may be, it's not satisfying.
I disagree. I think maybe it's not satisfying for you and a lot of people, but I found it satisfying. But I think that it's less, Inside to me feels less like a game and more like a film almost. Like, we're not talking mechanically about the puzzles, which I think most people would agree are fine. You know, transcendent, maybe not, but fine as like a kind of engine to get you through the game. But I feel like in order to enjoy Inside, you kind of have to have a degree of tolerance for pretentiousness. Because I think there is something pretentious in the design of Inside, of basically being like, we're going to subvert the traditional way that games are told, mechanically and narratively, and instead we're going to do something that's like, you know, Scandinavian new wave cinema.
Well,
It's basically
so that's what's good about it to you then, is just the fact that the twist was something unexpected. For me, I found it kind of cliche and boring.
Well,
It's
How
like,
is
all
it-
right, you didn't
it
end
can't
it.
be cliche.
There was. I
That
don't
you
think
get
the whole ending
sucked
was
into
cliche.
a grotesque blob at the end.
I
No,
will say
I'm
there
not
was
talking
this.
about what actually happens. I'm talking about the lack of resolution. That's not a new concept. Narratives have used that before.
It's a new concept in the medium.
Disappointing.
Let me latch on to the viewing it as a film and not necessarily a game point. And I don't even necessarily want to echo it, but I want to look at this. There's an obvious statement to be made in that at about like the 75% mark through the game, it totally changes. You know, like not even necessarily when you get to the blob, but a little bit before that, where you're doing a lot of those water puzzles. Basically, at the point where you stop being able to die in the multitude of ways that you were exposed to before, it becomes a different experience. And you're playing a puzzle platformer up until that point, and then you just are sort of participating in the narrative after that. And that's where I think it shines, in that it subverts your expectations in a couple of different ways, and then it doesn't try to ride that out for very much longer at that point, because it knows the statement has been made, and now it's about time to, like, you know, wrap it up. So I feel like they did everything they wanted to. They showed us everything they wanted to in this bite-sized portion of this giant universe that they created, and they conveyed it in such a unique way from that point forward, to where I wasn't really concerned about like the resolution or the what was the other thing? Yeah, forget that. But like I was more concerned about where they wanted to take me and where it was gonna ultimately end off. So it changes, and I also want to mention I disagree with the idea of the puzzles beginning to reiterate on the same stuff, because I actually thought that was one of the better parts of especially the first half of the game, where in typical puzzle platformer fashion, you would expect them to like introduce an element, like say they introduce the second mind control device, right? So when you're on that big railing, you have the one guy, and then he goes into another helmet that opens up a box that reveals the second one, right? So you'd see that, and you would typically think, oh, okay, so we're going to build off of this, and there's going to be more complex puzzles that involve way more dudes that are going to be all hooking up to each other, right? That would be our natural inclination, but we see nothing like that. We just see that happen in one instance, and then there are other like unique puzzle elements that continue to be introduced throughout at least like the first half of the game or so. So I thought that was a strength of it personally.
I think one of the smaller nitpicks I had with it was that I think they did a good job making the world like make sense how it connected together. But towards the end, like once you go underwater for the first time, I feel like it just made less and less sense. Like you didn't seem like you were in a place anymore. Like
you were descending into game mechanics at that point, because it was just them figuring out new ways to make what was an on-ground situation more interesting. And after you do the underwater stuff for like 20 minutes, it's like, all right, how long are we going to keep doing this? And it just keeps going and going and going. I hate underwater levels. They're always the worst.
Now, I think that might be a little bit of a personal peeve, right? It's just that you're not.
No, everybody hates underwater
I don't
levels.
think that's true.
You take away player autonomy. You can't control your character as well. It's slow, it's boring, and then basically you can't see as well.
This is a very cynical approach to a game that to some extent subverts a traditional approach to games. Like, this, for me, this is like the anti-Braid, and I like both of the games a lot, but Braid is a game that has like a narrative but is mostly mechanics driven for me personally. Really well designed puzzles that give you those sort of aha moments. This is, as far as I'm concerned, if you don't resonate with the tone and the atmosphere of Inside, there is no point to play it. You're not going to finish the game and be like, that was a revelation about like what it means to be a human or something like that, nor are you going to finish it and be like, those are the best puzzles I've ever experienced. My favorite puzzle in the game is the one where you actually have to get like 23 or 26 people and get them like all coordinated. It's like a really long multi-stage puzzle,
like
and I thought
thing.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting, but the rest of them were kind of just like short vignettes. I think mechanically it's just adequate, but its real strength is the tone and atmosphere that it creates throughout the whole thing. And maybe, as people are saying, like I'm giving it a little bit too much credit, but I think it is an interesting decision, and I think in this case interesting does mean good, to just not tell the story. I can't stress enough that it's really refreshing to play a game that doesn't open with the world is Kringcrawlis and you are a vampire hunter who goes out and this is evil Roderick, he's the big bad guy, and then you just start and you're like just attacking things.
As someone who hasn't played it, so correct me if I'm wrong, or just like maybe I'm just not understanding, but if the mechanics of the game are mediocre and
I didn't say mediocre.
If they're average, they're not spectacular, but they're not like terrible. Like they're good, they're solid.
They fit
and
the needs of the game. Let's just put that there.
I'm not trying to be mean about the mechanics. I've never played it, and the story is vague and really not explained. What's the point of playing it? Like, I don't understand.
That's my main problem, is that I feel like it kept introducing these really interesting things that it didn't care to explain, and that's
coming from the outside. I just don't like. I'm not going to go in expecting a story to be understood or anything to be understood, and I'm going in expecting mechanics that have been done before and are going to be done well. Why would I, as somebody who's never played it, spend the money to play it?
Well, like Ryan said, you kind of get the idea of whether or not you want to play Inside at face value, to be honest. Like, from what you see, if it interests you, then I think you're going to enjoy it. But if you look at that and you think, okay, then, you can pass pretty easily. But I would say, like, the biggest selling points for me are the atmosphere far and away, and just, it sounds sort of superficial to say this, but the sound design and the art direction. I know Nick said it gets a little bland at times, but just like there are points in the game where it's almost worth the entry price alone just to see the way that those parts play out. Like Austin hinted at that giant wall of sound area. And I thought that was some of the best sound design I've heard all year, man. Like, it blew me away. With headphones on, oh my God, I was completely in the zone.
But if they don't explain it at the end what that room is, though, that experience of you being blown away is artificial and no longer counts.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say that, but it's
Come on,
tainted.
that's really dismissive.
It's tainted. I'm not going to say it ruined it. Like, I still had that experience, but when you're telling stories, if you don't have to have a resolution, you can get away with almost anything you want. It becomes a little bit lazy in that if you have no resolution for anything, that's kind of the difficulty of writing, isn't it? Trying to find these interesting situations that eventually resolve.
Yeah.
Take that out, you can kind of do whatever you want.
I mean,
and
is writing a story not arbitrary to begin with, though? Like, I don't look at Inside as if we're grading a paper and I'm like, it has like this many mistakes, so I'm obligated by the rubric to take off like 4 points.
Yeah.
It's all subjective, and I didn't find it satisfying. I feel like if you're going to open up a whole bunch of story threads and then not resolve them, you haven't told a story. The game just ends, kind of arbitrarily, all of a sudden. And it's pretty short, too, and the puzzles weren't that hard.
How do you feel about the end of Inception as a Rorschach test for movies that just end?
Slightly frustrating.
Okay. How do you feel about it, Bear?
It's been too long, I think, for that movie.
Yeah, but you can't really compare the two because at least with Inception, there's you can follow the fucking story. You know what's happening throughout the whole
Inception,
story.
It ends
It ends with a cliffhanger and be like unsatisfying
not
way, I guess.
No, it just ends while the story is still ongoing and there's no resolution. And for me personally, that's an artistic decision that doesn't bother me. And my perception on all of this is that it's all arbitrary. The artist gets to choose when the game ends, when it starts. And if you ask, like, oh, what happened? Like, did this happen or did this happen? It's a moot point. It doesn't exist. It's in the artist's head. There is no world that the artist is reporting that it's coming from. It's an artistic choice to stop it where it happened.
It's a fair question, though. I mean,
it's a meta-narrative then about artifice. Is that really the real message underneath this game? Because I can't figure out an actual message.
It's really hard to determine that for sure. Like, I'm pretty sure we're not going to be able to figure that out on the podcast today of what the actual message of Inside is. Because, well, actually, one of the
you
more...
can't create a story without a message, and they have made a story. They just didn't resolve it. So I don't know what the resolution is.
One of the more...
I think this game would be 300 times worse if at the end they just had a crawl that answered the questions that they raised.
You don't just answer them literally. You have to tell it in the context of the story.
You don't have to do it. As you said, it's all subjective.
The blob rolls down to the beach, and he finds a journal. Within is documented the entire scientific process of the creation of this character.
Hey, you've got the
I
end of the
understand what Nick
StarCraft
is
2
saying.
saga.
Nick, I understand what you're saying.
I'm just
Do whatever
giving
you want, but for it to be good writing, there are certain elements you have to do.
I don't think that's the case, because I felt like there's no dialogue in the game, but I think the scripting of the game made me feel things that a lot of games that are like, I love you too, now we're not in love. Like, they did things without saying words that actually, like, stirred me. And I think that is a kind of writing, and it's a kind of design, at least, that I think is admirable. Whether or not it resonates with everybody is clearly subjective.
I think that is interesting, is how split it is. Like, I've watched a couple people play it, and I've seen a bunch of different reactions to it. But even like looking at chats and Twitter and this Twitch chat right now is like, it's a pretty, I don't know if it's an even split directly, but a lot of people really like it, and a lot of people really don't like it. And that's interesting to me, that it really has people kind of split.
I honestly am pretty sure there's like a very large contingent of people that didn't like it that probably liked the majority of it and then ended up not liking it by the end, which I almost felt like that, but after giving it a little bit more time to resonate with me, I ended up, being in the positive camp.
I mean, as much as I say I don't like the ending, I think the game still is completely I told people I still recommend it. I still think you should play it and buy it. I mean, the parts of it that I liked are still worth the purchase and still worth going and experiencing. But to me, my best way to put it is my whole experience felt underwhelming and kind of ruined by the end.
Yeah, not to put you on the spot again, Nick, but would you recommend it still, or do you not think so?
Yeah, I mean, contrary to all the things I just said, I actually did enjoy the game. I just have a problem with the way the writing resolved. I thought it was underwhelming and disappointing, but the game was still very good, atmospheric, great animation, great sound design. Some of the puzzles are reasonably clever. I give it like a 7.5 out of 10. I just don't think it's the next Coming of Christ or anything. It's like an okay game.
No, that's No Man's Sky.
I probably should have. I probably should have prefaced this entire segment by saying I never played Inside and I don't care to. So that's the reason.
I think
people wondering why I'm not
would
talking.
hate it, and I mean that with the utmost respect. And I'm sorry if I came across dismissive over the course of this discussion. I think that there are people that this game just will not hit. And what I really want to at least clarify at the end is that I hate the discussion that comes up with games that are at least a little bit pretentious, and I think that Inside is a little bit pretentious. That is that if you didn't get it, like you're dumb or ignorant or something like that. Not getting it is like completely fine. Like that doesn't actually indicate that. It just indicates you didn't like it, which is fine.
Do you think I get it, or do you think?
Well, in this instance, nobody got it. Like you're not the only one.
Is there at least enough story there for you to like piece together something in your head? Be like, well,
no, you have to be okay going into it with the idea that you're not going to know what's happening.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I mean, there is nothing to understand. But this is like a more, as Nick was getting at, is more of a meta conversation now. Of like, it's irrelevant, I guess. But I think like Sinvicta, I think you would hate it.
I'm curious to hear why. I don't like these type of games. But I'm just curious as to what about me.
I think that you have very low tolerance for something being up its own ass, and there the concept of Inside is a little bit up its own ass. Like, it is not a game that exists to be like, we have sweet mechanics. It's a game that exists to move you emotionally on like something of an intellectual level. Like,
hey, man, I can be moved.
I'm not sure.
We haven't tried to deconstruct the actual ending.
I can.
Right?
Well,
Like,
I was
have you thought
trying
about
to,
it a lot.
I was trying to get into one of the more commonly accepted fan theories, which I sort of subscribe to, which was that the blob was controlling you the whole time.
This is there. Chat keeps saying secret ending, secret ending.
Okay, yeah. So like, I got the secret ending. If you guys want to hear about it, if we're
Yeah,
all open to
go
that.
ahead.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
So you know the big old disco balls that you can find periodically that are you get guided to them by the big yellow wires on screen. You can find like a dozen of those or something, and then if you find all of them, you find a giant one all the way at the end by the tank where the blob is, and then you pull the system cord out of that, and it ends up revealing something near the beginning of the game, which was the cornfield. So if you go back to the cornfield, there is a bunker underneath the cornfield, and there is a puzzle that you need to figure out there. That's like an audio-based thing. So it's sort of, if you guys played Undertale, there was the audio cues puzzle in that game that unlocked something, and it's sort of similar to that, I think, but a little bit more complex. I just cheated, so I got Chad to tell me what the sequence was. I opened up the door, and you open the door, and then you go down this cave system that's like 40 or 50 meters long, and you end up in what appears to be the mainframe. So you get inside, open up a wall, you find the big old circuit breaker, you unplug everything, it all shuts down, and then the kid like collapses. So there's like an indication there that that's the end, by the way. That's the secret ending, is you shut everything down and the system goes kaput. So there's an implication, I think, there that the kid is hooked up to the system in some way. I don't know how much that goes along with the theory of the blob was controlling you the whole time, which is one that makes more sense the more you think about it. But yeah, that's the secret ending. I don't know if that gives you any more resolution, Nick or Austin. It didn't really give me anything. So
I went ahead and watched the secret ending right when I finished playing the game, and it didn't really do much for me because it does like I don't know if the kid's motivation is important. Like honestly, you're just going to the right. It's be kind of hard to find an overall motivation for that, but because the blob itself isn't explained where it is, isn't explained where it's going, isn't explained what the entire point of it isn't explained, why the kid's going to it doesn't really matter to me that much. So
why is water upside down sometimes?
It's the future, man.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think that'll do it then for Inside. It sounds like still across the board here we are going full recommendation, and I'll just echo again that I really, 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 really like it and think people should play it. It's $20 on Steam.
I might pick it up just to see exactly how right Ryan is about me.
I hope you love it, man. I hope you prove him wrong.
I kind of like having $20 too, though. So.
All right, let's talk about Starbound now. Now that my voice has been drained away from all that excitement. Jeez.
So has anyone
who do a great Stallone impression right now, Bear?
Who here has played Starbound most recently? Like
I played it today.
Oh wait, where's Mathis? Where's Mathis on the camera? He's over there, right?
Yeah.
I played it today for about 20 minutes.
All right, let me
so far.
Let me get back to you, man. So I won't make you explain Starbound because I think we're all fairly familiar at this point. It's Terraria in space, more or less, right?
Yeah, it's the easiest way to describe it, probably. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But
actually, Mathis is over there. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you got it. So what's been your experience on release day then?
It's way different than when I played it in 2013.
Yeah.
It's really pretty. I mean, comparing it to Terraria is going to happen.
Yeah.
Mechanically, it's similar. It's a pixel 2D, like build 'em adventure survival type game. I'm excited to play it though because I've read like all the stuff that they've added to the game, and it seems really, really feature rich now. Like there's a story you can go and do, or you can go make a colony, and like all these NPCs will show up, and you can manage the colony, or you can make like a farm and do like some Stardew Valley type stuff. So there's just a lot of options, or you can just go and explore and find ancient ruins and dungeons and fight bosses and all that other stuff. The first 20 minutes I've played so far were great. There's like an opening story now, and that explains where you are. You don't just wake up on a ship and just have a ship now. You end up on a planet, and first thing you have to do is like get your ship up and running again because it's been destroyed due to events. And that's it so far. That's what I've played.
Yeah.
It plays well. I like it. It's I enjoyed it back when I played it in 2013, but it was pretty bare bones back then, and I was getting sick of the character wipes. It was just every time I made progress, the game wiped all my progress with whatever update they put out. But now with 1.0, no more character wipes, so I'm excited to get into it and see just what it's like.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna play, Nick? Because I know you played the shit out of Terraria. So.
Yeah. I'll check it out again. I was pretty disappointed with Starbound at first, but I'm totally willing to just kind of put that behind me and see what it is now.
What disappointed you about the earlier build?
It was so not finished to the point where there felt like there was almost nothing worth doing.
Every planet
there was not
felt like
really any narrative. Everything was just a loop. There was not really anything meaningful happening in the game. I mean, they tried to give you this idea that you were a part of this bigger universe, but ultimately it was just recycled assets everywhere. And, I mean, that's bound to happen, but I was hoping it would be a little bit more diverse, I guess.
Yeah.
The game got a lot better once it added actual like village spawns and stuff like that. But for the same reason that Mathis likes the game, and I guess more to the point that like Nick didn't like the game, I played Starbound since day one of early access, and I stopped. I gave it a couple more chances, but I was actually not turned off by the content or anything that's contained in the game itself. I was turned off by the fact that multiplayer was so unstable and the ridiculously long development cycle that it took. I don't even care that it's out anymore, which is sad because like I really liked Starbound, but I like if you go into early access, like you just kind of have to expect character wipes, and I don't personally hold that against the developers for Starbound, but one thing that I do hold against is that like they keep pushing out new content that like they're saying, hey, this is going to be like you can now upgrade your spacecraft, or you can do this and that. You can now have like crops and stuff. But if you try to make a multiplayer game, it's not going to save, and we're just going to wipe everything anyway. So it's like they're not trying to cultivate like longevity in the game, rather than just being super duper long-winded about like getting base game features in there. So I mean,
I think they made a big mistake going on to early access as early as they did.
Yeah,
I don't mind that. I don't mind like a long development period, especially for a game as ambitious as Starbound was trying to be, basically being Terraria in space for the most part.
I don't either. But
they just went. It was just too early. They should not have gone on early access as early as.
When was the initial early access release?
2013.
That was the end of 2013, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was 3 years ago.
It's one of the longest early access titles that I can think of, other than
Project Zomboid.
Well, besides the ones that are still in early access,
yeah,
right?
but you know what I mean. Though, like it's like I don't want to do like I don't want to play the game again because I feel like they probably didn't add enough to the point where I won't feel like I'm gonna have like an impact or anything in that. The narrative was there. The last time I played it, I think, was last year, and they had quests, and it was right around the time that they gave you the option to upgrade your ship to like tier 2, tier 3, that sort of thing. And other than that, like I feel like I've already just played the game over again. And unless if they actually released a very stable and permanent multiplayer mode on there, I can't be troubled to play Starbound.
I assume it must be because it's not in early access.
But that's what we assumed in early access as well. And you had to go through a whole lot of tunnelers and VPNs just to try to make it work with multiplayer, and then that whenever they would push even a micro patch out, that would break the client on the server side and completely wipe out like towns. I mean, we on my stream we had like a planet that I selected, and then everyone, I paid like $10 a month. Everyone went there to be on the server. We had people who like worked days on like huge giant like casinos and like really really nice pretty decorations and farms and stuff. A micro patch came a day after that and wiped out everything, because it was so unstable. Like I can't support a game that does that. Like I don't have any inherent problem with early access. I think it's a good system whenever it's used and not abused. But Starbound did it in a way that really made it to the point where I don't want to play the game again.
Yeah, well,
I think I benefit from. Go ahead. Sorry, Austin.
Yeah, no, I as Nick is, I'm a huge fan of Terraria. I got so many hours in that game. When Starbound was coming out, I was extremely excited for it. And when it came out, like other people have said, it wasn't just unfinished. It was like horribly unfinished. Like there wasn't really even a game there almost. Like the reason Terraria is so good as it is because it has this really beautiful progression throughout the entirety of the game that kind of masks that you're not really doing much in the game itself. It's so much fun. Like you're doing the Minecraft thing. You're just mindlessly hunting for materials and getting better weapons and even better weapons and even better weapons and fighting harder and harder bosses. Like but it's so smooth and everything every next step offers a little bit more. That it's such a fantastic experience. And Starbound, they had this, I hesitate to even call it a progression system. It was literally like you go to tier 1 planets and tier 2 planets, and you just kind of kept going. And there was nothing there. There was nothing to do.
It was locking on the gear that you crafted.
Yeah, and I think at the time, too, there was just like the combat system. I think they've overhauled it now.
Combat system's completely different.
Yeah, they overhauled it relatively quickly because of how bad it was. But it was
really bad.
It was god-awful.
The gun game in Starbound was actually very good now. After they did the combat update, it was very good. But like there's like special rarities of weapons and stuff. Like all that stuff I'm A-okay for. But.
Yeah, but that so many people I think had that same initial experience that I had, that they didn't like it so much. And then it took so long to actually finish that people just forgot about it, didn't really care about it anymore. And I don't know if I'll go back to it. Maybe.
It's not the same game. It's unfair to compare to the game that is out now with even again only having 20 minutes into the game so far. It being such a different experience than when I played in 2013 or whatever. I put a ton of hours into it. It's not as bare because I remember one of my biggest problems with Starbound back in the day was that every planet felt like a weird color palette swap of the previous planet.
No consistency.
Yeah, but now like there are metropolitan planets, like old planets with Iron Age, I guess, planets, underwater worlds, low gravity worlds, magma world. Like the planet variety seems huge so far in the game, and there's that progression in gear and boss fights. There's a story. There's just a lot of stuff that you can fucking do in the game now. It's different. So if you haven't played it, go play it again if you're interested.
What I want to know though is like how much time do you have in the release build so far?
It's combined, so
okay. Well, like
I have my 30-something hours into it, so
because I would say probably for like the first few days that Starbound was out in early access, there really was this impression of like this is really good. It's like Terraria in space, and the hype was there, and it was only as people started to get deeper and deeper into it, and they're like, hey, this is like basically just I'm going to different planets to change the weather, essentially. Then people started to like turn on the game a little bit while it was in early access, and also as Terraria kind of came up and started getting more and more regular updates that definitely improved like the long tail of that game. So what I'm interested to find out long term is does this solve what I felt was the fundamental problem with Starbound, which is slicing Terraria and then like multiplying it so you have like 1 million Terrarias in your game doesn't matter because you've got everything you need in like that one planet in Terraria. Like it's like having, it's like having like 50 credit cards or something like that. If you have one credit card that does what you need, each other credit card is mostly just a nuisance. So it's like they split the resources across multiple planets instead of like it's an artificial gimmick, I guess is what I'm getting at. But I actually found that Starbound was pretty fun, but I kind of got out of it before the backlash happened.
I'm excited because one of the I agree with you, splitting up the planets and stuff became a nuisance, but they've kind of I wasn't a part of the game when I played it, but they've now made the spaceship like progression, I guess, part of the experience. You make your spaceship bigger. You can get a crew to help operate your ship and all this other stuff. Like that is an aspect that makes planet hopping, in my opinion, probably more fun. I don't know yet. I'm not there. I'm excited to see if that's going to be as fun as I think it is. But I hope that it does alleviate that whole planet hopping is boring by making your spaceship a progression in and of itself.
That was the draw for me, was that I wanted it to feel like a sort of Star Trek mentality of you get to explore just random planet. I mean, you can pick random coordinates out there on the star nav and still go there. I mean, that the planet hopping was fun. It's if you haven't played in a while, it's probably worth checking out because you'll probably really enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm loving it so far. I'm glad I put the game down back in 2013
Yeah.
and said I won't touch this until it's done.
Mhm.
Because I
felt
don't
like-
have that, anger, I guess. Sorry, go
It's
ahead.
worth addressing to me because there was a lot of sentiment in chat about like, why are you angry that an early access game wasn't finished? It's not that we expected it to be finished. What we expected was sort of a proof of concept, and it sort
Yeah.
of wasn't really there yet. And
It-
that
it
I think
really
the devs
shouldn't
had even
have
said it
been
was too early.
disillusionment.
Yeah, I think someone said that they regret releasing it early access.
Yeah,
That doesn't
at least that
surprise me.
early. Yeah.
Right. And what you're-
Chucklefish makes good games. It's just that for some reason, what to latch on to Nick's point. I mean, we're not the frustration isn't the fact that we're expecting a 100% 1.0 version in early access. The frustration is that there wasn't enough there by design, and the amount of time that it took for them to actually add on to stuff is more than you would usually be able to tolerate for early access, to the point where you just don't care anymore, which is how I went, and that's the reason why I don't particularly care to ever try Starbound again.
it's a strategic decision to release something that early, and they did it when they felt that the hype was at peak levels. And to release something when everybody has really high expectations, ultimately, you know what that results in. It's pretty much the same thing every time.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was the best call, and unfortunately ended up hurting a lot of people's opinion of the game, whether or not it was for a good reason or not. If they don't come back, they don't come back. It doesn't really matter why.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
but I'll try it.
Starbound, $15 on Steam. 1.0 Leaving Orbit version available now.
And they're working on a console version.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and the 4-pack is actually only $45, so you get some big savings there if you got buddies to play with.
Chat was saying that multiplayer is directly integrated to Steam now as well.
That's
so I don't
good.
know.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's
Yeah.
good.
Was
I might
that-
have to look at that then.
That was one of those direct IP games back in the day.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
It was a pain.
Fuck
It was
that.
Terraria.
Fuck that
Yeah.
to death.
Which is why we had to go for a server instead of me just hosting the game on my computer.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about Video Ball. Video
Oh, God.
Ball.
I think we have every single person that plays the game in this call right now.
Good. Perfect.
This is the video ball community right
Let
here.
this guy right here.
Yeah,
There's also
this,
Dan.
this sure is Video Ball, Ryan.
Video ball is a
Asymmetrical.
Asymmetrical.
sports. Actually, it's highly symmetrical.
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
it
That's
is.
right.
Except for the two maps in the game that are deliberately asymmetrical. But basically, it is, Rocket League, but instead of being a car and knocking a ball into the goal, you shoot a car, which is actually a triangle, and to try to knock balls into the goal. It's basically just it's a new digital sport, if you will. It's competitive Pong in some ways is another easy way to explain it, and you can play 1v1, 2v2, or 3v3. Video ball.
Video Ball.
The end.
Everybody wins. It's Video Ball. Everybody.
Video ball is $10, and it's gorgeous, and the music is really good.
Mhm.
From a gameplay perspective, it's annoying that the community is not enormous, so that it can take a long time to queue up. But apart from that, I've had a pretty good time with it so far.
Everybody in chat go buy it so Ryan has people to play with at night.
Right.
So he's not just sitting there
We-
queuing up.
Yeah.
We had
Or
to
we
resort to queue. Ryan and I queued. We had to queue solo queue just to get a game, and then we have to hope that we A, get in the same game, and B, we get on the same team, which I think only happened half the time.
So there's actually a surprising amount of depth strategy to Video Ball here. You've got your single triangles, your smallest shot. You've got your double touchies, as we like to refer to them, the normal shot triangles, and then you got your charge shot, which is the one that's going to send it flying the way you see on screen right now. You can also make a little cube as a defensive measure if you
Don't do that, though.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that. It's
Squares are not good.
yeah,
don't-
we've played quite a bit, and it's a lot of fun, man. Like, I don't see this being like a Rocket League sort of game where I'm dumping 150 hours into it, but it's a solid little sports ball game, man.
It's a fun time waster with friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my little nitpicks with the game, I don't know if anyone agrees with this. I don't like how it freezes whenever you do a smash. I don't know if I'm just bad, but trying to time out, because you have to time out your shots to get, you hold down the button to charge up each shot, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. And when the game freezes when someone smashes, it really messes up your timing. I don't know if I'm just not good at fixing that, but
you're not alone in that. You have to the reacclimation to setting up your shot when you're expecting to release it, having that literally get paused, like just time stops for a second, is very, very.
And I don't know if there's a reason for that. Is the thing. I don't know why it stops. If it's just a aesthetic thing or.
I want to say it's probably just for a flashy sort of like sort of spectacle moment.
It adds impact.
It does, but
that's why they did it most likely.
It's probably more for the entertainment value as a spectator sport than the actual players, because I think that I'm not going to speak for everyone, but for me personally, if there was an option to turn off that pause, I universally would take that out of the game.
It would make a much faster paced game out of it too, which I feel may be beneficial. There's a pretty reliable way to gauge when those are going to affect your shot, but I'm not going to tell you what that is.
Double touchies? Is it double touchies?
You invented the firing line, and I'm pretty sure that you need to be punished for that eternally.
If you're still hating on the firing line, you should be thankful that the firing line exists.
Hang on, make sure, Barrett, you're not directing this at me. You need to direct it at Austin. No, I'm not the one who came up with
this is right to Austin, yeah.
I know, I'm clarifying so people don't think I'm coming up with this scum strap.
Bear, I tried the firing line on Ryan. It did not work as well.
The number of strategies. It's you got the Rosetta Stone of video ball strategies just says always be using double touchies. 2, never smash. 3, never use squares. People are, what about the firing line? What about always smash? It's just
you do smash though. Don't give me that never smash.
Well, once people adjust to the double touchies, then you smash.
You counter smash.
You have your 10% when you smash.
How much will it cost people to get hourly coaching from you, Ryan?
Honestly, I think that maybe it's just something unique about my brain structure. I don't think it's teachable.
All right, Griffey Jr.
I don't think it can be taught.
There's something pretentious about video ball. I don't know what it is. I think it might be coming from this call.
It's the art style, man.
It's the person who went 48-2 and 2 actual NLSSs.
47.
And by the way, I am on both of the only 2 on the teams that was actually able to take him down.
48-2.
And I was on both teams that took him down for those 2, so to ruin his 50-0. So
wow.
And when he loses, it's my fault anyway, so you can't do wrong.
Oh yeah,
that was the court of public opinion.
Good lord,
that's insane, man.
I feel like you playing Dead by Daylight, I'd be like, just fucking kill me. I don't want to play this game.
I'm impressed, but I still want to understand it. Like, I'm willing to admit that there's definitely like there's no
47-2.
No fluke here.
It's exactly the same as Rocket League.
I drooled to that one.
Bear and I talked about this last summer when Rocket League took off to a large degree. I think that he and I had an innate advantage, not to throw Austin under the bus here, because I don't think we were playing Rocket League with you consistently last summer. But we know sports. You know, we watch hockey or we watch football or soccer. It's kind of like, if you do that from the age of like 4 onwards, it changes your brain. It makes you a more violent person.
And way more negative than positive repercussions.
I think if you are at least decently well versed in sports, you have like a built-in like +20 when you start playing the game. Eventually, the savants are going to get on and just like figure out strategies that totally destroy you. It's like being like you're really good at high school football, but it's not because you actually have discipline. You just got like your shoulders are like 20% wider than the average 16-year-old.
That got me through most of junior high, man. Just barging my way through hallways with these big old shoulders.
I think there's some issues with video ball, unfortunately, though, that are probably worth mentioning. One of them being the lack of control in multiplayer games. You can't really pick teams effectively. You can't really pick levels effectively. It's kind of a frustrating thing because, well, really, why can't you? There's not really a good reason.
Yeah.
It's structured to be frictionless, and I respect that, but I think they went too far with their sort of one-button mentality. And kind of went overboard.
Carrying that into the menu, too. There's no way to back in the menu.
Yeah,
There's no back
button. Is confirmed.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of an oversight. There's also no quit game option, so you have to Alt F4 every time you actually want to get out of it.
It's funny that you use it's funny that you use frictionless as an adjective, because I think that what Austin and I were talking about earlier with the way that time stops whenever there's a smash and then a counter smash. what's so nice about Rocket League is the fluidity of the movement and especially the being able to predict where the ball is going to go, at least reasonably wise, when you're looking at the trajectory. And that is completely broken every single time someone hits a smash and everything stops because you're expecting it to go one way or you're about to release your shot and then it stops. So it's if frictionless was what they were aiming for, they've completely done a 180 on that.
Personally, I think that VideoBall is very influenced by Scandinavian art house films of the 90s and early 2000s.
The ending is up for interpretation. There is no ending.
Yeah.
You have to Alt F4. There is no true ending.
We might
There you
have
go,
seen
yeah.
We might have seen the canonical ending on Thursday's NLSS.
Oh.
At least as far as our sub story goes.
Yeah.
We all know that they're going for a Dorito sponsorship. That's the whole plan right there.
I do want to say the presentation of this game is pretty fantastic. I mean, they have a theme and they nailed it. And I feel like the smashing and the pause of the smash is sort of plays into that whole theme. Like it's all very 80s retro, and it's like, oh, cool, wow, hey, okay, so
Happy
That's Video
birthday.
Ball.
Right.
The lady,
Yeah, happy
she says all
birthday.
this. She's like, "Oh, home run, grand slam," but then she's like, "Happy birthday," and it's like,
She's
what?
the announcer in Video Ball is completely insane. She has
Yeah.
no idea what she's saying.
She's like, doesn't know what words are. Like, she
like
has a
double
list of
touchy.
words
Red
to
Rocket.
say, but then
Wow.
inserted in, she has words that aren't really, like, she just forgets what she's reading. She's like, "Oh, potato chip."
she's
Yeah,
got the
happy
script, and then
birthday.
she's got her grocery list on the other side. She sometimes fails to differentiate.
Red leaf lettuce. But I do think that
Code Zero.
I agree with Nick in the sense that it has a commitment, like an overcommitment to this like simple minimalistic design philosophy that it has. I really think that it's a quality of life thing to just have B be back.
Yeah.
Like it almost felt like when you first realized that you have to go over to back and B is just accept that you're like, okay, I get it, like good
Back
joke, but at the
hell
same
out of it.
time, like every game on planet Earth, you hit B and you go back. It's like if you got into your car and instead of like pressing a button or turning a key to turn it on, you had to put your radio station on like 99.1. Like good one, like, but it gets old a little fast. And I really don't think that there is a good reason to not just have a button that's like, hey, swap teams, or like, let me pick some of the weirder arenas. The reason that I'm sure they have from a design philosophy is that it runs counter to their design of everybody should be playing to have fun. Don't make it so much about competition and stuff like that. And also, these are the most perfectly balanced maps that we can have. But at the same time, like, who cares? Just give the player more options, and I think they'll enjoy it more.
Don't they show in their trailer though, like people doing a major video ball tournament, like with a live crowd and
Yeah,
everything?
you can't
The
do a
next
tournament
sport.
if you can't pick the teams.
Yeah,
game is
but
not
like
one-
if it's like we're not trying to take it too seriously as a competitive sport, it's like, but there's a crowd. There's like
Is that game really fun to watch?
play-by-play
Couple of
announcer.
Triangles. hitting a
It's fun
circle?
if you understand like Pong. I mean, it's fun. It's a fun game. Like I have no problem with video ball other than just the nitpick of the pausing. But like, it's for me, it's just as fun as Rocket League is with friends and stuff. I mean, it's a different type of experience, and it's a neat little game. I'd recommend it if you have friends that you'd want to play it, but just don't try to go in the solo queue or anything like that. You're probably gonna have a bad time.
I hope they patch in the ability to quit the game because it's really stupid to have to go into the task manager and kill the process every
Yeah.
time you leave it.
I just thought Dan really fucking loved Video Ball, and he was
Yeah.
playing it for like 3 days.
He's training for the next tournament of shame.
He's determined not to come in sixth again. That's for damn
Yeah.
sure. Right?
That'll never happen.
Well, there's no gas to kill himself on this time, so he'll be safe for that.
Okay, Video Ball. It's $10. It's out on Steam right now. Go get
I would
it.
recommend it if you can get 4 other people or 3 other people to buy it with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you can rely on people or you can rely on like the community to provide matchmaking components for you. But if you have friends, like if you have people come over to your house all the time and you can make use of the local, definitely for
Yeah.
$10, that's pretty cheap. And if you can get people online to do it semi-consistently, if you can get like a few hours of fun times out of this game, I think it's worth it.
It's kind of what I also just said, but that's okay. Northern Lion from YouTube.
Real
Who is
good.
this guy?
That's Video Ball.
That's
That's
video.
video ball.
Real good local party game though. I will. I'm gonna.
Yeah,
echo
Video
that
Ball's
for
fun.
sure.
I like video ball.
All right. Let's get into everybody's favorite segment. It's Ask Roundtable time. Ask Roundtable is the weekly segment where you send in your questions to roundtableyt@gmail.com. As indicated finally on this graphic, thank you very much to, oh my goodness, I forgot your chat name, so let me make sure I get that one right. He's the artist that's been hooking us up with all these new overlays and stuff has been phenomenal and responding to my requests within like 24 hours. Your chat name is 800 Yen. There you are. Also AI Knight on Twitter. Thank you very much for that, dude. This is Ask Roundtable, roundtableyt@gmail.com, where you want to send your questions. This week's question comes from Ryan. Ryan, I keep telling you, you can just talk to us if you want to ask us questions.
I have people for that now.
I tried that. It didn't work.
He's got a handler now.
Ryan asks, are any of you into modern board games, such as Arkham Horror? If so, what are your favorites? Modern board games, tabletop gaming. Mathis, I know you're into tabletop gaming quite a bit.
Within the past, year, I've gone pretty heavily into big, complicated tabletop board games. So, yeah. My favorite one right now, when I can get somebody to play it with me, is Star Wars Rebellion. Yeah, that's what it's called, Star Wars Rebellion. I have a box back there. You need 3 hours, 4 hours to play it. It's a big strategy game. You don't really need the Star Wars theme, but it's just what they use to market it. And one person plays as the Rebellion, the other person plays as the Empire. The Empire's goal is to find where the secret rebel base is and wipe them out completely, while the rebels' job is to try and turn as many planets, rebel loyalists, and to overthrow the Empire. It's really fun. It's got this mechanic of taking over planets and having them be loyal to you. The Empire can basically assert martial law over planets, and there's a lot of resource management. It's really it's hard for me to just be like, this is what you do in the game, because there's 11 decks of cards and there's 150 miniatures involved. It's very, very complicated, but it's fun. I'm really enjoying it. When I can get 4 or more people, I'll play the Game of Thrones board game, which is I know I talked to you about that, which is it's really doing it a disservice to call it Risk on Crack. It's way more strategic than that. And the biggest reason is there's no okay, my turn, I'll move troops. Okay, your turn, now you can react to my troops. Instead, everybody has these tokens that represent the orders of the troops that they have, and everybody puts them face down at the same time. When all the orders are down, then everybody flips up their orders to see what the orders are. So I could be like, hey, Ryan, I will help you in this war as long as you give me food for my next fight. But I realize that's going to leave Ryan weak in one of his, forts or whatever. And though he thinks I'm going to help him, he orders his troops to move. But when my order flips, it's the order to attack him after he moves. So
I'm taking strategic notes on Mathis right now. What he's
I'm definitely Littlefinger in that game. Don't trust me. But I'm really into those really complicated. That one needs 5 or 6 hours. That's a night of drinks and dinner and ruining friendships.
I'll play with you next time I see you.
I'm gonna bring it to PAX Prime because I know there are a couple people there that want to play. So if you're gonna be at PAX Prime, I'm trying to get a group together.
I'm not, but I'll see you at BlizzCon though.
I won't be there, so.
All right, well, next year, Mathis.
All right, okay, guys, we'll see you at the next one. Hey, Austin, you a tabletop guy?
I'm not. A lot of people request like once a week that there's some kind of that we get a D&D thing going, an online D&D thing.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I used to love board games when I was a kid. Back when I had real life friends. No, even the boring ones like Monopoly. I just love playing them. But it's a lot harder these days to play board games. You gotta have a big group of friends nearby. And a lot of my friends live back home in Houston, so I can't really get that going. But if someone finds a way to play board games across the internet, I'd be down.
Yeah, I've got this little inside project. It's called Tabletop Simulator. You can get in on the ground floor with me. Interested?
Maybe.
I heard it's popular for some sort of Hitler game.
Yeah, that's what they tell me. Ryan, you're not a tabletop guy, right?
Well, you don't put words in my mouth. We just got new
remember.
Magic stuff last night.
Yeah,
I don't know if you'd call that a tabletop game, but we play Magic occasionally now, and we've bought some board games this year, but it's so hard to actually get people together to play them. We have Pandemic Legacy, but we've only played it once, and we keep being we should get together and play it again. But we bought Catan this year. We bought a game called Sushi Go, which is pretty good.
Yeah, that's a really good game.
It's fun. I get it. It's pretty good, but I mean, I don't play any like big modern board games, but it's cool that there's a renaissance happening, and I really wish like Pandemic Legacy had come out when I was like 17 and living in dorms, because that would have been sweet. But instead, now me and my peers are all adults, and Thursdays don't work for me. What about Saturdays? Oh no, Saturdays I got this, and it takes a while. But yeah.
So conventions are for me at this point.
Basically, yeah.
Beers and board game night.
What about you, Nick?
I'm very passionate about Monopoly. I used to be into Guess Who for a while. I was like real into Guess Who. No, I'm not.
I couldn't tell, man. You got me.
You can never tell.
You got me with the fake crying so hard a few weeks ago.
I am passionate about Monopoly, but I wasn't that passionate about Guess Who.
Okay.
I used to play Magic a lot, and I don't anymore. Played some digital board games with you. That Secret Island game was pretty fun.
Yeah, that was a good time, huh?
I enjoyed playing that, but I don't really like have anyone near me to play games with, and I don't really like board games that much. I mean, I'll play them if they exist, but unless we're online and we're doing it for a reason, I'd rather just play like a digital game.
Fair enough, yeah.
Because it's more streamlined and we don't have to like count all the math out and shit. I don't know.
Fuck that. Sin, what about you?
Not really big into like I guess modern board games, but I liked playing all the old classics, Risk, Sorry, Monopoly, that sort of thing. I'm not. I mean, like I have friends who do. I don't even know if you can consider like is Warhammer 40K considered a modern board game at this point? I mean, I don't.
That's a good question.
I have friends who play that, and like that gets like super expensive and like in depth, but. That's
the one with the figurines, right?
Yeah. It's just basically just Warhammer. I don't know if people actually consider that a board game or not, but I mean I like the online whatever tabletop simulator offers is a lot of fun. So and I can play it with friends. I don't have to leave my house or anything if I don't want to. So, but no, I'm not a big board game guy as far as modern goes.
My family is fairly into doing some tabletop stuff. We actually played this game that was really interesting pretty recently called Dominant Species, which is an extremely complex game. It takes like 3 or 4 hours to play. And what's great about it is it does not facilitate conversation at all, because there's so many different things you have to think about to where like you just have a group of 4 people that are all just staring at the board for every round. It's just dead silent. Every time you see someone play that, there's no one talking. They're all just completely focused on what they're doing. So it's fun to play games like that. But my family have been playing tabletop games for a really long time. I've been into Catan for a while too. I actually have that on my phone. I play it every now and then. It's so good. Yeah, I love Catan.
I would love to play the Game of Thrones game with fucking Dan Giesling.
Oh yeah.
Oh, God.
We wouldn't stand a chance, man. He'd win that before we even started.
Dan would be Varys. He'd be Lord Varys.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you, Ryan, for that question. If you've got a question to send over to us, that will be roundtableyt@gmail.com is your email destination. It's time for everybody's favorite segment after their favorite segment. It's Nick's Weird Games.
Woo! Chat, goodbye.
Goodbye, chat. Nick's Weird Games is a segment we do every week. Nick's going to go get a weird game from his catalog of so many weird games.
Oh, I got it already.
He's got it already. We got a theme song. And Ryan, could you do the song 525,600 minutes from the musical
Rent?
Rent?
525,600.
Now that I got exposure to your musical associations, I'm gonna pull from that resource pool.
Oh boy.
All right.
So here we go.
Game on Sony PlayStation 2 from 2000. It's time for another Nick's Weird Game.
Yeah, man.
It's a Japanese adventure with RPG elements. It's the 3000th time we've had a Nick's Weird Game.
That's really good.
That's good.
Man. Yeah?
they got a lot. Those words are long. It's
Yeah,
not
they're
like that ain't Twista.
That was good, man. I enjoyed that one.
I've got
ready?
some MF Doom coming up for you next week, so get ready. But yeah, we'll
no.
keep it easy for now.
All right, Nick, I'm ready.
What we got?
All right, we're doing something unprecedented today,
Oh,
God.
and we're not doing it. No, I'm kidding. We are. We're. Oh, you almost didn't want to do it. All right, I'll
Jeez,
use
man.
that next time.
After 10,000
DS
years,
game.
I'm free.
The DS game.
Ooh,
DS?
shit. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, I have one of those now.
Yay! So this DS game was developed by Indies Zero and published by Nintendo. It was released in Japan in 2005 and in North America 2006. It's a bit of a gap between the two. And it is a single-player music game. Now, I know what you're all tempted to say one thing right now. I have a feeling it's not
Well,
that
there's
one.
there's Rhythm Heaven, which is probably
Yep.
what you're thinking. Then there's like
Yep.
Magic Touch. Whatever
Not that
it's called.
either.
Okay.
It's Elite Beat Agents.
Nope.
That was also a really good one. I like that game a lot.
I was
Okay,
thinking
this
of
game
Rhythm Heaven.
offers
answers.
2 game modes called Performance and Audience, and you basically create your own music compositions. There's not really a game element.
Mario Paint.
No. That would be the perfect idea, though, if they had made that for DS. I don't know why they
That'd be
didn't.
good.
Nintendo with good ideas.
So the audience mode allows the user to put down the system and enjoy a continuous musical show. That's actually...
It was
That's a hell of a tagline right there.
no, I think I know what game you're talking about.
It was designed by Toshio Iwai.
Did we get a release year on this one?
Yeah,
2006 in the US.
Okay.
Pretty sure. Fuck.
For 1 year, Nintendo made a big fuss about this, and it became quite rare, and then they pretty much never talked about it again.
Really? I can picture the cover in my head. I think I know what you're talking about, because I remember seeing this when I was. There were so many fucking DS
Yeah,
games. It was like
if you-
shovelware central for the
If you
longest
saw it,
time.
you should have bought it, man.
I didn't buy. Why would I? Is it worth like a ton of money now?
No, it's not, but it's just rare.
You could have had the answers
Fuck.
to Nick's
What's the
weird
name of that
games.
goddamn fucking game?
Sounds like Matt's is giving up.
No,
Come on, man. You got it.
it's
Dig deep.
Here we go, Mathis. Here
No
we
pressure,
go.
though.
You're fucking stressing me out.
Look it up, Scotty. Look it up.
Mathis,
we got 5
seconds before the bomb goes.
Stop
gotta
it!
get this
game.
It's
Mathis.
electroplankton, right? Electroplankton.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
That's what it was. I saw that. That was
That's
that
him.
game. I remember seeing that game. Yeah, that's
Elect-
yes.
Shiny blue label.
Wow,
It's the
man.
only one with a chrome label.
Yes.
Electroplankton?
Holy shit.
That game,
looks
I
familiar.
played that game I never brought it home. I played it in the back room for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's Electroplankton. A little
Nice.
music
Yeah.
arrangement game.
I like you going to the DS,
Shaq
man.
get it?
We got to expand our repertoire.
Well, I don't have that many DS games, but that's one that's worth actually mentioning.
Yeah.
Did chat get it?
Yeah, Chat got it like a while back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who got it?
See, the DS is like, man, for when I remember working at GameStop, that was just like fucking shovelware central. There were so many games
Yeah.
that were just on the DS shelves. I remember that one.
The first one that I see in my particular chat is Vogue Hams, who got it correct. So thank you for your guesses. A bunch of you got it, so good job, everybody that got
Wasn't
it.
there another musical game too that was like pretty popular, then disappeared?
Wii
I
Music.
can't think of the fucking. Oh, it might be a PSP game I'm thinking of.
You were thinking of Patapon.
Yep, that's also a beat.
It's also.
kind of
I remember
based
playing
on
Patapon. Patapon was
Sound
good
Shapes
though.
on the Vita was pretty popular.
I enjoyed Patapon.
Luminez. I mean, I still think
Luminez is
that-
the one I'm thinking of. Yeah,
Oh,
I think
yeah.
they just released that on iOS. Actually, I love
Is it?
Luminez. It's one of my favorite puzzle
Yeah,
games.
that's
Actually,
real good. Mm-hmm.
Didn't Clay make that?
no, I wish.
Who made
Pretty sure they
Luminez?
didn't.
Maybe they made Eats.
Luminez was made by Q Entertainment.
Yeah, Clay made.
Gitaru Man. Didn't Gitaru Man get a PSP game?
Yes.
I remember that. Yeah.
Man, we are going real deep down a rabbit hole right now.
You're going deep. Yeah, you guys lost me at Nick's game.
This is just,
All right.
since we're talking about music games,
Mhm.
it's more like we're going down the rap of the rapper hole.
No. In the show. End it, Bear.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for
I don't
watching
get it.
Roundtable Live. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much to our guests for joining us today, Sinvicta and Last Grey Wolf. Appreciate you guys. You can
Thanks for
check
having me.
them out. We'll have links down in the description if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening audio only, you can check them out at youtube.com/Sinvicta316 and twitch.tv/last_grey_wolf. That's where you can find these two guys. You can find us on Twitter at RoundtablePC. You can catch the show discussion over on our subreddit, that is roundtablepodcast.reddit.com. Rate the show 5 stars on iTunes and subscribe to the show there. You can also download the show over on SoundCloud, which is where you can download the direct MP3. If you didn't realize that, you have access to that actual sound file, so you can do whatever you want with it. And you can also support us over on Patreon, patreon.com/roundtable. Whether it's $1, $2, $5, $10, $20, anything that you can do to support the show, we genuinely do appreciate that quite a bit. And we want to thank those that have been supporting at that $20 tier and above, which include but are not limited to Jonathan Graham, Julian Abelsgard, General Crunk, Matt, Scrouty119, Super Monoman, Nerdy as Fly, Christopher Flagg, Mediocrities, Brizzlebrit, Positron, David Schmitz, Oren Saltzman, Myth Scarab, Mavier, Simurfet, Eric Schooley, Justin, Greenlight, Logan Ray, and that is it. Thank you guys very much for your support over on patreon.com/roundtable. We did it. The show was exactly 2 hours long today. It's a miracle. Thank you very much for watching. We will see you next week here, Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern for Roundtable Live. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.